Well, let's start this episode 210. I actually named our little call here Epi 210. Just felt fun to say. A little Tom Haverford. I don't know what that was, where that came from, but
Sure. Yeah.
it was like something he would say, right? Epi
Oh my
210.
God, Epi 210.
Eps.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what he would
Yeah.
say. Yeah, it'd be a little jingle. So I'm Tim. I'm here with all my germs, all of them, and I'm also here with Dan, who's got a sweet chocobo toboggan hat on. Love that.
Thank
Love
you.
that.
No germs for me. No germs for me.
No germs for you. That's all right. And Jeff is here as well. Buffalo Bills staying strong, man. They released half their team, but you're going to be okay. You're going to be all
We'll
right.
be okay. We got Haley Steinfeld on our side. We'll recover.
You'll make it. She's the new Hawkeye, so you're going to be fine. Yeah.
She's
I got the Midgar Chocobos.
she's
We're
the
doing
new
really good. Real
Hawkeye, yeah.
Wait, isn't she the new Hawkeye? Did I miss?
Yeah, you're right. I just forgot
Oh,
that
okay.
detail. It was like,
Yeah, it's one of the many like handoffs from.
what?
All right, young female actor. You
And
be
she
the
did a
new
cameo
star.
in a recent movie that Dan saw, and well, Tim won't see it, but a lot of people might not have seen it yet, so I'm not going to say what it's from. But she made a cameo,
Sure.
and I was like, oh yeah, they're still going to work on her her
yeah.
character. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I liked her.
Yeah, she was good. She did a good job.
Hey,
It's good.
Hey,
It's good.
Hey,
Most of the issues that I have had with movies or shows that just lose my interest, whether it's Marvel or anything else, it's very rarely the actors themselves. Sometimes maybe,
course.
sometimes maybe, very rarely. Usually it's the overall plot or the writing itself, or I'm just like, man, this looks cheaply made. Like it's usually some combination of those things that makes me kind of like, I
That's
think
what
I'm
we were
good.
saying when Dan was talking about his Marvel catch up. That's more or less our complaints were geared towards that stuff and not any of the acting at all. Yeah.
Even the casting, I'm like, whatever, like make it a good story with interesting characters. I don't care, man. Make it really good. And so that's where I've kind of, it's been inconsistent.
Yeah.
We'll keep it P though. We'll stop talking about Marvel right now. Let's talk about some games. There's some new games out. We're going to talk a lot more about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We've rebirthed a whole lot this week.
Oh my God. I rebirthed all over the place. My house is just
a lot of rebirth.
A lot of rebirth everywhere.
Yeah.
My room is covered in rebirth, just everywhere.
We can see it.
We can see. Yeah, we can
it's
visibly
everywhere.
see it.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Not this. No, I don't know what you're talking
don't
about.
look. I gotta cover up the rebirth.
I'm ashamed. So we'll talk about a couple of, I would say, significant games that came out, just in terms of like, hey, these are worth giving them a look if you're a fan of certain genres. But yeah, nothing quite as notable as Final Fantasy VII for sure. We only have 2 more weeks though till we get like 2 of those, and then Princess Peach. Like we only got a few more weeks.
Yeah, that one's
till we get some major
that one's
releases.
Yoshi's Crafted Island or whatever that one's called. That's
the woolly world.
You know what I mean? It's like its own thing. And take shorter. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be adorable. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Adorbs.
It'll be adorbs. All right. I at some point we'll see how I'm doing. I got some meds. I thought I was done for the night. I almost messaged, but I took some meds. I ate a little
cocaine.
Little cocaine. No, I ate orange. I ate like, you guys. We call them cuties, but they're clementines. I think cuties a brand. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's the small ones that they call cutie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had one of those cuties. It kind of gave a little kick of like some kind of citrus, vitamin C. Like I feel okay at the moment.
Well, there's also sugar, like natural sugars.
Sugar
those, right?
kick.
Yeah.
So, but it's very possible I'll start to fade, and I'll just message you guys and kind of give a little wave.
No worries.
If that needs to happen.
I picture Tim looking at the orange and be like, "Hey, cutie, how you doing?"
Hey, cutie,
dude, I'm kind of out of it today. I probably did say that.
Yeah.
Just looking at the
it's like an orange, but cute. It's cute.
Yeah, it's cute, dude.
It's cute.
I am so out of it today. Sorry, this is a little bit of a rabbit trail, but like I need it. Like our dog sometimes, if left outside for too long by herself, she'll get bored and start digging. We have a bunch of like dirt areas where she can dig. Dogs dig. I don't know if you guys knew this. So she'll start to dig, and she's like a mix of a sheepdog. So she's got tons of fluff around her nose and her paws, so she can never hide it. It's like the kid who ate the Cheetos and was trying to hide it, but his fingers are covered with powder. So yeah, we can always tell when she's been digging. So anyway, she's been doing that recently, and so I was trying to tell my 14-year-old he needed to do a chore. He's the only one who hadn't helped yet today. I was like, listen, no one's scooped the poop in a while. You've got all these ready-made holes in the ground. But I actually like started to act it out. I was like, so we're gonna get a stick and get the shovel. And like I was so out of it. I thought he didn't understand me. All I had to say to him was like, go shovel the poop, use the holes that she dug and fill those in. Like that's all I had to say. But I was like acting it out, like get a stick. So you have to, and then just scoop it onto the shovel. And then it wasn't until after
Dad, are you high?
Explaining it that he was looking at me like, all right.
All right.
Yeah.
Whatever, Dad. I don't know what you're smoking, but
Mixture of like the Mucinex and the I don't know what else, man. Tylenol, something. Some stuff was mixed in together.
Those cuties you're overindulging on.
All those.
Yeah.
I ate some cocaine. I mean, cuties.
Cuties.
Yeah.
Nose cuties.
Yep.
Nose
cuties. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about some new games that came out this week. Let's start with one of the more interesting ones with all the problems behind the scenes at WWE. We got WWE 2K24 is out. Really good reviews. Ever since 22, it seems like this game has kind of refound its footing in terms of like they know how to craft a fun to play game and some interesting modes and give a lot of the fans not everything they want, but a lot of what they want. And it's really, really nice to see them kind of return to form in some ways. So that's cool. But man, with all the stuff with Vince and Brock, I think it's just those two, right?
Pretty much.
And so, Jeff, what did they do with these two guys? They're in the game. They couldn't just delay the game because of this. What'd they do to they just remove them? They just
I think they just removed there's no Brock content at all. But there are certain scenes because this is a showcase of WrestleMania. We're on 40 years of WrestleMania now. So there's 21 matches you go through. Vince. Yeah, exactly. He's part of pretty major angles and matches.
Yeah.
So there's one match in particular that I saw a screen grab of where they just blurred his face out.
Oh my God! Wow!
During one of the main storyline moments, and it's just oh my God, they're Chris Benoiting him, they're kind of erasing him from existence. It's very interesting how they're going about it. But I get
now real quick because I'm not following up on the news. Yeah. What did he do? What's because I know
he's got lawsuits against him right now for
pretty serious
some major sexual misconduct where he was manipulating and coercing and exploiting essentially employees.
Well, that seems to be a common theme in the WWE, huh?
Just under his regime, yeah. But
and
all the people
he's trying to say he was keeping it kayfabe with his character.
I was just being my character. He's not.
He's gonna act.
He's just been claiming innocence this whole time. But there's been so much evidence against them over the decades. I remember scandal after scandal under his regime specifically. And I'm not saying that everybody that's still there is they're saints or whatever. Sure. A lot of them probably knew a variety of things at different times. Who knows? But whatever. I'm sure the lawsuit during what do you call it? Investigation. That
discovery.
Part. Discovery. Yep. I'm sure that will bring a lot to light and get rid of a lot of people that don't need to be there anymore. And honestly, a lot of those people that shouldn't be there anymore are gone already anyway. They took out the trash as soon as the scandal, actually right before the scandal went public. So, but anyway, that's not really a black eye over the game so much. I mean, it is kind of makes you go, why is Vince's face blurred? Yeah. But the game itself is you wouldn't know that there might have been a last minute scramble to remove some content because it's a solid game, man. It's really good. They're kind of doing little quality of life increases over from entry to entry, kind of I assume the Madden series tries to do, and maybe they fail at it according to the people that like those games. I don't know. Because I feel like every year the Madden gamers are not happy about something. Whereas with these WWE games since 22, it's been oh, I love that they added this, and I love that they added this.
Yeah.
So this year they added back throwing weapons, nice. Which was a staple in No Mercy. I remember throwing weapons a lot.
Oh yeah, dude.
But this
especially
one,
if they're mid-run, it's so satisfying. If you hit a mid-run and they fall down, it's
you could literally be putting somebody up. And I've seen so many clips of this. You could be putting somebody up on the top rope, something, and if it's a triple threat match or a tag match, a weapon will just come in out of frame and just hit you in the head. And it's somebody threw a weapon at you. It's so funny, dude. Nice. The visuals of it, because the physics are so different now, obviously, than N64 days. It's just so funny.
Yeah, because N64, if you're locked on, it'll make it the distance.
Yeah, it just goes straight that way or whatever. But you can aim it, kind of not really aim it, but you know what I mean. Just move the joystick a certain direction, it'll go that way.
The one joystick. What a weird
time. But they added an ambulance match, which I don't think has ever been in any of the games. Maybe unless the PS2, maybe the PS2 era games might have added it, but it was not common back then. It's still not common now. But it is a match type that's that would be fun to play. And there is like a mini game involved when like the opponent gets completely downed, their energy bar, their spirit bar, whatever you want to call it from the N64 days, gets totally downed. You start throwing them into the ambulance, and there's like a mini game to like push them in and close the doors
to keep them in there.
Yeah, exactly. Because the other person has the opportunity to button mash and get out of there too. So I mean, it's trying to make it kind of like the cage. Remember the cage matches in No Mercy?
Yeah. You're tapping it as fast as you can.
Yeah, exactly. It's like those mini games, but they give you specific buttons to press. And you can choose whether to do timed, which if you're a masochist, you do timed button presses, or just button mash, and it tells you what buttons to mash at a certain time, which is more my speed. I'm glad that they added that, by the way, because when it was like time, you have to time what button to press in order to kick out of a pinfall. That was the worst. Yeah. And I think they had that in 22. They might have had that last year as well.
That was the drawback for me when I played 22, because I liked it. Then I was like, oh.
But this year is just button mash, and then like you kick out. It's so fun. Yeah. So it's like little quality of life things like that. They still have various other modes. I feel like the showcase is kind of like, on paper, sounds really cool. WrestleMania showcase, 40 years, 21 matches, and apparently a lot of the matches are like, why did they pick that? It's like a lot of weird matches that are historically insignificant, at least in the opinion of a lot of wrestling fans. So I haven't really dove into that mode at all, but there's, the other modes that are obvious are like there still. You have I still don't understand the difference between My Universe and My GM, but I know My GM mode is you're a general manager for a wrestling show, and you do a draft, you draft your roster, and you have to draft, just like the last couple games, you have to draft a specific type of wrestler, good guy, bad guy, technician or brawler or whatever, giant, and you have to book them against each other in a way that complements their styles, and if you don't, then you lose viewers. That type of stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like the YGM mode is still really cool. I feel like they add every entry, they add more stuff that you need for each show. Like now you can book backstage staff and stuff like that, or hire backstage staff permanently. Like you have permanent upgrades you can do along the way to get better arenas, better marketing for your show, stuff like that. So you're literally managing the show from the ground up. While also there's an element of kayfabe, brother, of like trying to tell compelling storylines and stuff like that between two wrestlers, and they'll like message you every week if they're mad about something, like, "Hey man, I can't believe you did that to me." Like I really pissed off one of the wrestlers because I had my GM align himself with one of the talents, so he's clearly picking a side with one of the talents, and the wrestler that got screwed over messaged me and was like, "Bro, I'm just going to ask for a trade if you're going to keep treating me like this." Like, he was so pissed. Which is such a cool mode, man. It could be its own game, honestly. And then they have my universe. I still haven't explored. I don't know what the hell that is. It's not the same as that, my understanding. There's one that's like a card game. I think it's called My Faction. And that's kind of like more of a daily challenge thing.
Okay.
Where you assemble
packs and all that.
Yeah, you assemble like the best card packs that you can, that give you a certain amount of points, and you just kind of keep them there, and you check in every day or every week, and try to do challenges through wrestling and different matches.
That's like Madden's Ultimate Team when they added the cards.
Okay. That's kind of okay. Then there is a parallel. Good. Yeah. All right.
Where it looks at
first I was like, the hell is
collector
this?
cards, and then that's actually your roster when you go to play challenges. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have like little power-ups you can do for every round or whatever, however that works. And you do have the option of like competing directly with somebody using those rosters, or just letting it sit there and you just accumulate challenges that you beat in solo play or something like that. Trying to remember what else. The My Universe, not My Universe, My Rise. I think it's called by Rise. That is the story, the campaign mode. And there's two of them. And the one for the women is one where you started an indie wrestling company that's very successful. Mm-hmm. And then you get hired into WWE and you see if you can make it on the big times. And the first match, you're at this indie company called TBD Wrestling. Of course, it's called that.
TBD.
And it's under TBD rules. So that means you can do all these crazy weapons and like street fights. And one of the goals was, hey, you have to set a table on fire and put your opponent.
It's ECW or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty much ECW, and that was so much fun. Figuring out the controls and how to do that and stuff. That was such a blast, and putting it on easy is highly recommended for any of these matches, honestly, because the CPU is still going to find a way to be cheap. It's just the way these games always go, and that's kind of why I don't really finish them, because I get to that one match that's like, I guess I can't fight. You know, I get
their version of like rubber banding from Mario Kart, where it's like, all right, I guess you just needed the slingshot ahead of me. Okay.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
All right, fine.
But that's cool. That's the women's side, and the men's side is Roman Reigns vacates his title, which would not happen because he's held it for like 1,000-something days by this point. But anyway, that's the storyline, and you're one of the men that's already in the roster, and you're trying to take that spot and see if you can keep it, basically, at the level that he did.
That's fun.
So that's cool. But the women one is one that's like you have to create a wrestler for it. I think the one for the men's, you could pick somebody from the roster.
So it's a sexist game. The Vince is still there. He's still there.
He's still there. I don't want
DNA.
I don't want to establish women in there. They're fired. So far it's really cool there, but obviously it's not priority. And by the way, that objective of like putting somebody through a flaming table, I did it, and the game didn't register that the objective was completed. So I was like, well, time to go back to Rebirth. I was just like immediately like, you just had to give me one reason, and I just needed to go back to Rebirth. That's it. That's all it took. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna revisit it, but because there's a lot of stuff to go through in this game to keep you on your toes. And it's just really fun, man. So yeah, nice. I dig it so far. I would still wait for a sale for people that are like not into these games.
And they do go on sale.
Yeah, they do.
Pretty cheap later.
Very frequently, yes. Mm-hmm. And they have they have so many freaking DLC packs this year. It's insane. And obviously you can buy additional alternate ring gear for people that are already on the roster, stuff like that. That's cosmetic stuff. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. I can see why people are like recommending it, because the gameplay is feeling like it's found its footing. It's not like the same exact controls as N64, but it's simple. Yeah. So like anybody can
accessible. That's what made that game so fun. Is anyone could jump in and be like, A's to grapple, B's to hit. Here's the weird down C button to run. Go.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Now here it's just different buttons. That's it. So I mean. It's still very simple, and the fact that you can choose to do button mashing instead of timed button presses, that's a game changer for me. Like I just don't. Oh man, the submission mini games were just, even in 22 when they started writing the ship, those were like not fun. Now it's just a button mash competition. Like it tells you to mash circle, and the more you mash it, the more likely your opponent is to tap out, but they're also mashing the button at the same time, so they could, you know what I mean? It's just a button mashing competition at that point. And then the button changes, and then you have to bash that button. So like it's a more fun mini game. It's not so much like a circle, a ring going around a circle, and you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Which is the most infuriating kind of mini game.
Man, weapons back in the day, and I could be imagining this. In my head, I feel like after the whole Stone Cold Vince McMahon hospital thing with the bedpan, I'm pretty sure they have a bedpan.
They did No Mercy. I remember that. No, wait, they might have actually had that in SmackDown versus Raw or one of those entries.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen it where it's just a random job. It's like, hey, that's the bedpan. Then he hit Vince in the head with. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that wasn't in. Yeah, I remember that because it was not in. I was like, oh man, they didn't put that in No Mercy. But I was still hitting people with a foam middle finger as if it was a hard middle finger, which was stupid.
It does the same damage as an actual stop sign. You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
Yeah.
It bloodies them. It's so ridiculous. Yeah. The bedpan, I'm pretty sure that was a maybe PS2 type of game or something like that.
That could be right.
Yeah.
Anyway, in my head, I can envision it. I don't know why.
I totally remember that. Yeah, they totally did add that. Yeah.
What was who was he fighting when he was in the convenience store and then he just like the milk?
Booker T.
Okay. Okay.
We got to clean up about 5. Yeah, it's so funny.
God damn it.
It's the worst and the best.
I think they end up fighting at the cashier spot, and he does go into the. Oh, we're gonna have to clean up. He goes like, he starts saying stuff. God, it's such a great segment.
Dude, he's legitimately a funny person. Like he's very funny.
Yeah, he's just out of control.
It's just funny because he spent most of his time in wrestling not smiling. I love that later on they let him kind of be goofy while being serious and playing the guitar and all that stupid stuff. I love that.
Oh my god.
What?
Yeah, the what? Oh my word. Anyway,
It's
all right. So WWE 2K24 is a recommend. Sounds like that's good.
I think so. I think for people that are like me and already like wrestling games when they're good, it's a no-brainer. But if you just like wrestling games and kind of don't really watch wrestling, you might want to wait for a sale because it's like the flavor's not that much different. It's just a improved version of it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a couple other honestly recommendations as far as I'm concerned of new games this week. One is a softer recommendation because I didn't get super far into it. It's called the Thaumaturge, which is a new word for me. I don't know if you guys have heard this word a lot. Okay.
Yeah, no, and they were explaining it in the dev breakdowns. They were like,
well, the game
you
tells you
practice
to
thaumaturgy, and I'm like, that's not a word. You're still
the game
using
defines
words.
it for you as it comes up, where it's like a soul healer kind of a thing.
Oh,
and so
okay.
you have like damage to your soul, and you're trying to find at the beginning Rasputin because it's set like in I don't know when, sometime 20th century Russia or something.
always
over in that
Rasputin.
area of the world. So anyway, he's trying to help heal you.
That's like World War I, right?
Well, I think so. That's what it looks like. I actually didn't see the year. If it popped up, I missed it.
I thought that's what he was around for. I'm just guessing.
Rasputin. Oh yeah. That sounds right.
He's still alive, right? I mean, he's immortal. So
yeah, he's still around.
Yeah, that's the whole bit. Yeah.
I saw Anastasia. I know real history. It's fine. There's a bat. He's very funny. Okay. So anyway, this does have combat, but I only did two. I think I did 2 encounters, and they were kind of weirdly turn-based, fist fighting. So I don't know if this game has like lots of in-depth combat. But you use your Thaumaturge ability to kind of see what they're going to do. There's like a little turn-based thing along the top. You can see if you do this move, it's going to take you this long, and they'll attack you before that. So maybe do this move and hit them first. It's that type of a system. I don't know how in-depth the combat gets, but when you're exploring the world, it reminds me a lot of what was that one that everyone loved? It was story-based and Disco Elysium from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of that, where it's very detailed, kind of isometric view when you're walking around exploring and talking to people. I played another game like that called Game Deck, which I also recommend. But as soon as I recognized that's the vibe, a lot of talking, a lot of investigating, using your power to kind of like find these items to uncover mysteries. I was like, listen, I'm interested. I'm glad I got this game. It's in my library. It's only $22 on CD Keys. I think that was a good deal.
Honestly, I can't believe how cheap it was. Yeah.
But I'm not going to play it right now. Like I've got another game where I'm trying to find all kinds of mysteries to solve in the Banishers, and I've got another game that's super in depth with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm like, I gotta at least finish one of those before I try something like this any longer. So this will be on the back list, but I'm glad that I have it. It is a cool game. The visuals are nice, but definitely AA, especially when it zooms in on faces and you see hair and fabric moving. You're like, all right. Okay, but like from the zoomed out isometric view, it looks very sharp, looks very nice. So yeah, overall the vibe is very good. The music's good. It's an interesting game so far. I'm very, very early though.
Cool designs. I'm saying
I like the
like
designs.
Monsters or enemies or whatever. I'm like, oh, that thing's kind of rad looking. Like,
yeah, and I do think the RPG elements talk about the combat, but it's even more. I could be wrong. Maybe it changes. Maybe it's all combat later. It feels to me like it's more about the character and your dialogue choices. Lots of dialogue choices and things that you either can totally miss or search for and find, or do I want to steal this or not? Like it's a lot of those kind of RPG, I think, elements, as opposed to a ton of combat. But maybe it changes. Maybe later in the game, there's a ton of strategic RPG combat. I don't know.
I bought this because you pointed out the sale on CD Keys. It was it's already only 30, which is pretty good for a AA game of this size.
Right.
But 22 was like, okay, come on, it just came out. Of course I'm going to buy the game,
Yeah.
But it's been sitting there just because I just know that it's a little bit more dense than the other, than any other like AA experience that I could get. So I'm like, Banishers is one I'd rather pursue at the moment. As far as RPG and choices are concerned, that have that vibe, that weird eerie vibe.
And I like that setting better. Some people might like that kind of World War I, kind of dark, muddy Russian setting. It is intriguing. Yeah. Like it's a cool setting to tell a story in. But yeah, sometimes another setting is just more appealing to me, and that's more what I'm into. So yeah. Man, speaking of unique settings, another game that's out this week is Unicorn Overlord. It's got to be up there for one of the worst named games of the year.
It's fine. Fine. It's cute.
It's
cute.
Yeah.
Cat. It's a cat.
kit.
But I mean, for a game that is essentially like, think about the two games that it's most compared to, and I'm one of the people who's comparing it because it's a valid comparison. Ogre Battle and Fire Emblem. Those are awesome titles. Like, there's nothing corny or dumb about those. Those are cool titles for games. Fire Emblem and Ogre Battle, and now you've got Unicorn Overlord. It doesn't have the same kick. That being said, it is an excellent game if you like. It's kind of this combination of real-time strategy. It's less turn-based strategy and more like if you ever played stuff like the 4X strategy games. Think Crusader Kings or the Total War games, where you can move things around, but your units will fight on their own. So it's got that vibe to it, where you have to decide who's in this unit, what's their tactics, how am I creating these formations, and then you send them out to battle and you kind of direct them with little stop points on the screen of where to go. So all the units are moving in real time, and you can pause that at any point, readjust things, reassign them somewhere else, have them stop to rest. And then once they encounter an enemy, you either go to battle, or if you've got a friendly unit in close enough proximity, they could step in and fight for them if you've got a weak unit accidentally too far ahead, which is nice. So yeah, it's a very unique battle system. If you ever played Ogre Battle 64, or it's a long title, Ogre Battle: The March of the Black Queen for the Super Nintendo, which was, I think, Square published that in the US. I feel like I could be way off. Because I remember for March of the Black Queen.
That is such a prog band album title.
Queen.
Queen. Or was it just Atlas who did that? And Sega?
So you have to go into the Wikipedia because I don't even know. Yeah, who the hell? Oh, Quest Corporation.
Quest Corporation. Oh, Square.
Oh, you guys don't know Quest Corp? Okay.
So in Japan it was Quest Corporation. Here it was Enix.
Enix.
So it wasn't SquareSoft. It was Enix or Enix, however people want to pronounce it. Square Enix.
I know they published it somewhere. Oh, in Japan by Square. SNES was it was ported to mobile devices. That's where. Okay. Anyway, all that to say,
Square Enix. Yeah.
That was a really unique game. It had the same concept. Here's your map. Here's your units. Go in there and edit them. Level up your characters. Upgrade their classes. Equip them with better weapons and items. And then send them out into the field. And you have a little 2x3 grid to place your units. So you're gonna want to put your frontline soldiers with big shields, or maybe a thief who's got really high dodge. And the back line is going to be your archers, your magic casters, and stuff like that. Your more fragile unit members. So anyway, all that to say, it's got cool strategy levels to it, if that's what you want to play. This is a very niche game. I was listening to Jeff talk about WWE, and I've got at very least mild, sometimes high interest in the wrestling world because I used to watch it so much and I love those games. But there are a lot of people, when they hear about wrestling games, and I checked out when you said the first W. Like, I'm so out. You know what I mean? It's just a niche that's not going to work for everybody. And I feel like this level of strategy and moving units around, it's going to work for some. It's not going to work for others. Think like Fire Emblem. That's very personal. You're moving one character to a spot to take on one other character. It's like all these one-on-one battles happening. Or even Advance Wars. It's still like a unit that has a health bar, and they're fighting. This is different. This is all these individual characters who have dialogue in the story that are now part of a unit, maybe with your main character, maybe with someone else. But yeah, they've got lots of cool systems that I wanted to highlight in there, though, like the relationship system from Final Fantasy, not Final Fantasy, from Fire Emblem, where if you team them up together, if they fight alongside each other, if you go talk to them in between battles, you can level up your relationship in Fire Emblem. This has a similar thing where your relationship with characters will go up if they're in the same unit together, if they heal each other, that kind of thing. So there's a relationship system in here too. I don't know how that'll play out. Will it be like a Fire Emblem thing where I don't know if you remember some of those games, there'd be a time jump and the characters who fell in love after the time jump now have kids, and those kids will take qualities of those parents and become like a super unit. Some of that stuff was awesome, and I don't know if this is doing that, but it certainly has a relationship system between any characters, which is pretty cool. And then you can upgrade your units. Like, they each have 2 open slots at the beginning, and you can't just throw all 6 soldiers into one unit right at the beginning. You have 2, and so you have to use the resources you find for helping people, doing missions, finding treasure, defeating enemies. That'll give you the currency you need to go back and upgrade. So now you can add a third person to that unit, and now you can add a fourth person. So like your commander abilities essentially are leveling up. That's kind of what's happening for the most part. But story-wise and setting, it's very like Ogre Battle or Fire Emblem fantasy style, where you've got kingdoms that are at war and this displaced prince who has these loyal old knights that are trying to get you back, to your rightful throne because some evil cackling villain has taken over and now rules the whole land. It's one of those stories that we all are used to. We've seen it, and for the most part, we like it. All right, I'll go take down the bad guy. So I think it's a really cool game. I love the art style and the music. It's really pretty to look at, and the music is great to listen to. This is Vanillaware, by the way. They don't usually miss. They've probably got some games that are, average, but a lot of their games are just stellar. Vanillaware really knocks it out of the park. The Dust Elysium Tale, I think, was them. I think they did Dragon's Crown. They've done a bunch of really cool games.
The Sentinel,
Odin Sphere,
the Sentinel one, whatever one that one was called.
Yep.
Did they do Sentinel one too?
Yeah.
Sentinel 13 or whatever it's called, or
13 Sentinels.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like a colon something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Aether? No, Aegis? I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Some AE word. I don't know.
Aegis.
Anyway, they made an excellent game with a kind of a weird title. They do talk right away about, like, you have this ring that can purge the control that the enemy has over your former loyal soldiers that are now against you, and you can kind of, in some cases, if you can cleanse them of that purge and they'll join you, and you have this ring. And so it has to do with these the myth of the unicorn power that your family has. So it's tied into the game. It's not like some random title, like a placeholder that just stuck.
Sure.
It's just a funny name.
Or
like Triangle Strategy or Octopath Traveler.
It makes sense. Octopath, because there's but it sounds silly.
It does sound like a demo game title or something like that.
I like it a lot. The art style is great. The animations are really slick. So I highly recommend it. If we looked at the top games this year, this one lands at of the games that we've played as a podcast crew that I know that we've liked, it comes in number 4 so far in 2024. We've got Rebirth, Balatro at number 2. That's right. Infinite Wealth would be at 3. Unicorn Overlord would be at 4, and Prince of Persia would be at 5. That's a good top 5, by the way. Maybe Balatro, I understand, but like Tekken 8, none of us really play that. That would be in its place, but none of us are Tekken fans. Anyway,
people love great strategy game, especially when you nail them, because like the whole thing with strategy games, people that super enjoy them is you want like as much like complexity as possible. You want to be able to, because like you said, you're combining all these different types of warriors to create these specific crews, and obviously you're mixing and matching stuff, and there's like, I can't even imagine how many combinations of things you're doing.
I would assume there's going to be a lot of classes to choose from and things you can switch to and level up, and maybe there's advanced classes. I'm not sure. I hope there is. So you're right. All the different combinations are cool.
I'd never played this genre of tactics game before, so
There's
I thought I would play the demo of this to give it a try. I agree with you about the animation. Holy crap, dude! It is gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. Not that complex of a story in terms of fantasy. Like I didn't feel lost by what was happening, so I was like, okay, keep me engaged there. But yeah, the tactics stuff, it was already a hard sell because that's the whole reason I don't play stuff like XCOM or Mario plus Rabbids. I think has a little bit of that, right? It has some tactics to it.
Yeah, there's some elements of it. Yeah.
But like Fire Emblem is like the
turn-based,
furthest I'm willing to go in terms, because there's still some tactical stuff there, but it is mostly turn-based combat. That's just straightforward. Go up to the guy, hit him. And that's the type of combat that I gravitate towards. So like that's like, if anybody's a gamer like me, just letting you know, this might be a bridge too far for you in terms of tactics.
There's definitely more planning ahead. That's a good point. There's more planning ahead compared to something like Fire Emblem, where it's like, these are my 5 best units. They can just go in.
Yeah.
Swords ablazing, no problem. But in XCOM, you'll all die if you're not careful and set up the right Overwatch and like position them correctly. This has some of that. If you don't build your units correctly and have the right combination of healing or items on the right people, like, you could be screwed pretty quick.
I remember my first match going, is this just a demo thing, or am I just going to watch the combat every fight? Like I didn't know that was the thing of the game.
And you can fast forward it. You hold the right trigger, and it does go faster.
Oh, why would you though? The animation's so pretty.
And you can skip it, although even like not even from the visual standpoint, which I agree you should watch it, but even just from a tactical standpoint, understanding, oh wait, we lost, what happened? Like understanding like like why your unit is or isn't good. It's probably good to see.
Yeah. Totally. They're not that long anyway. Like it's not like turn-based where it's like an Octopath when I feel like I want to speed things up and there is a speed up option. I'm still like, okay, go to my turn. Let's go. Come on. I know they're winding up to punch me. Come on.
Yeah.
There's not really that pause, that little pause in between moves. It's like it's so fast. Yeah.
It's very quick. So yeah. It's worth a look. The demo's great. It is only on PS5 and Switch right now, I think. I don't know that there's some kind of exclusive deal for these, or if that's just the platforms that they're out on. I don't know why this wouldn't be on PC at some point. It seems like a no-brainer, but we'll see if it comes to PC. But not Xbox. Who cares about that? They're done with consoles.
Nobody cares about Xbox. Yeah.
On Xbox. I mean,
yeah. No one plays games on Xbox. Get out of here.
I just use it to play Blu-rays.
Yeah.
I don't know. Imagine that. That'd be really funny.
I'm trying to think which. I think I use my Series X now for my main movie player for Blu-rays. I was using the PS5 for a little while, but I switched over.
Sucks because
just kidding. I like them both. Everybody, calm down. A couple of the new games that are out. I haven't played any of these, but they're worth mentioning. The Outlast Trials is out. Not a series that I'm really into, but that's available today.
Yeah, me neither. Not my thing.
Reveal does look cool, but
So I got this one 15, whatever, $17. I think it's 20 or under 20. And I played the demo. It picked up right where I left off on the demo. I love that. More developers do that.
Yeah.
And it is a first-person horror type of game in the vein of Layers of Fear, where it's like, here's some spooky crap, and there's more spooky crap. But it's more accessible, I would say, story-wise than Layers of Fear. Layers of Fear can be obtuse sometimes narratively, and this is more like you're a dad and you're kind of in a dream world that you're trying to figure out whether you're dreaming or not at the beginning, following around your daughter because she keeps running away from you or whatever. And there's some creepy stuff. There's some cool visuals, but it's not anything we might not have seen before in this genre, at least so far. Unless by chapter 5, there's 5 chapters. Unless by chapter 5, I'm like, what the hell is happening? Am I in a David Lynch movie or something? Like
the title sounds like it could be. We'll see.
Could be. Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
But yeah, that's not too expensive either. So if you're a fan of horror and kind of solving the mystery of what in the world's going on.
Yeah, there's environmental little puzzles, very easy to do, but little puzzles and stuff that you solve before moving on to the next room. Kind of like Layers of Fear, where they don't really explain it to you. You just have to walk around, pick things up, and see what happens.
Gotcha.
Okay. And that works. I think it works.
Another one that's out this week is Chasing the Unseen, which rings a bell, but I'm having trouble picturing that one. I can picture Reveal and Outlast Trials.
This is one that I played a demo for this one as well. This is one where you're just literally crawling on giant creatures, and they kind of look like Lovecraftian type of monsters and stuff. So like visually, sometimes it looks good, but it's like way too demanding on the PC, at least, and other people have on Steam and reviews have been saying that too. It's like, why is this taking up so many resources? It's not even like that.
It's not optimized.
Pretty. It's so weird. But there's some cool visual opportunities there. But when I played the demo and discovered what the game was, which is not much of anything, it's just you running around and you have a stamina bar for some reason when you climb things, kind of like Zelda. And I'm like, why is this here? This is not. You're not fighting.
Some guy came in like, hey, I play Zelda. I want a stamina bar. Like they have. Put it in.
Yeah, I want a stamina bar. Imagine you're looking at giant monsters, right? And it's really pretty. And also you have a stamina bar for some reason. Okay,
what? Give you something to worry about so you can enjoy the view.
Right.
Give me 2 stamina
yeah,
bars.
Strategically plan your climbs. It's okay. Yeah. I'm very mixed on it. Much
maybe
like the Steam reviewers right now.
Could be good because they can patch some optimization.
There's some pretty screenshots out there for it for sure. It's possible. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm just gonna go judge based off how I felt about the demo at this point. And if it goes down on sale like $5 and I'm extremely bored, I'll get it. But those are the very specific circumstances I have to meet first.
Well, one other one that I just added the last couple of days, just because it's kind of picking up some attention from folks, is Berserk Boy, which looks like a great kind of like Super Nintendo PS1 game, kind of a Mega Man.
Following this on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like over a year, because it just came across as I was scrolling through one day. I was like, dude, whoever I think it's one of those one-person indie games, and I was like, this dude is talented.
Cool. Yeah,
he's made like gifs of like Naruto characters, just like other ones. And, like his style is phenomenal. So like when I saw he was making this, I was like, this looks gorgeous. Like,
yeah, it looks amazing. I love the art style. Doesn't it kind of give you like a PS1, maybe Super Nintendo vibe of like
Mega Man,
Mega Man X, and in that vein, but of course cleaner than those games would be today.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It looks really nice. So, and it's getting great reviews. This is in the mid 80s average on reviews.
Nice.
So if you like platformers and you're a Mega Man fan, go give this one a look. Sorry that none of us have played it yet, but we can at least on the outside looking in say it's definitely worth looking at the screenshots of at least.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I love the idea of buying a game like this. I might go buy it because I love supporting the little 1-2 man teams. You know what I mean? There's something about that. I'm like, yeah man, let's buy these guys games.
You do your thing.
It's under 20, and so normally it would go for 20, but right now it's at 18 on Steam.
Okay, that's worth it for a really solid Mega Man game. That's worth it. It looks like a good Steam Deck game too.
Very positive reviews. Absolutely, Steam Deck would be good for that. Yeah.
All right, let's real quick touch base on a notable new TV show that's out this week. We are fans of Guy Ritchie here. We've talked about his shows and his movies. I don't know if he's had any shows yet. We've talked about his movies before.
That's a good question. I don't know either.
Because I can't think of it. As soon as I said it, I was like, he doesn't have any. So yeah, I know we've talked about some of his movies before, especially as I've revisited some of them, like The Gentleman, but it was one of his movies. And so that's a show that's out now on Netflix. Jeff, it sounds like it's a Guy Ritchie story with style, right?
Yeah, it's through and through. It's his thing, and there's no bones about it. It's not like The Covenant where you're like, Guy Ritchie did this?
Yeah.
Like,
dude. Yeah.
Yeah. In the best way, where you're like, he's like really doing some good action stuff in this, and he's not. Wrath of Man, I would say, even though it stars Jason Statham and he's doing his regular Jason Statham thing, there's a way that he's telling the story that it does not feel like a Guy Ritchie movie. It doesn't feel like him going like, that's what I said. I'm Jason Statham. Hey, and he's being really clever. Like he's not
transporter.
I'm a transporter. Put it in my trunk. So there's not quips, is what I'm trying to say. Because he's a silent guy.
I think Guy Ritchie was going through something during The Covenant. Like he was experiencing some darkness in his life when he made that movie.
Possibly.
That is not a Guy Ritchie.
The Gentleman is him like course correcting a little bit tonally.
He's like, all right, things are back to normal.
Yeah, because now it's the snappy British jokes, really dry jokes. That was in the movie. He's implemented that in the show, and he's doing those really really clever things that he's been doing since like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, where he's doing like cutaway flashbacks to tell a story like of what happened. Like it's like a really tense scene and stuff like that. And the Gentleman does this too at the very beginning. It's a very conceit of the movie where Jax Teller is like in his weird accent. He's talking to Hugh Grant.
And he's like, "Are you American?" No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Don't talk to Tara. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Tara.
Tara. Such a
Australian.
weird, unplaceable British accent. It's so weird.
It's weird. And even in interviews, I'm like, I don't think he
still don't understand. Yeah, is he being himself?
You know what he sounds like? I'm sorry, this is sidetracking. He sounds like an American who's lived over in England too long and just is like trying to talk to them a little bit. That's what he sounds like.
Yeah, there you go.
He calls random people tossers, and you're like, you don't even know what that means.
Dude, stop.
Yeah. Anyway, The Gentleman is the show is supposedly a spinoff, but I've seen, other than like the grow house that was in the movie, the examples of grow houses that they show in the movie, I'm like, oh, so it's kind of like under the same empire, maybe, because the operation looks kind of identical to what the movie was doing. But they're not really name dropping or including actors from the movie, so you're not really going to sense it being. You can watch
Matthew
it by
McConaughey
itself.
give a speech about how I'm going to hurt you.
I'm going to hurt you. Yeah, I'm going to hurt you. You threatened my life. I can't do it. I would did too many other impressions. I'm now.
But that is, by the way, like I love McConaughey, but that is that is an all-time great McConaughey scene. Like it's
It is. Yes.
really good.
I was like, oh, I didn't know he had that in him. That's crazy.
Like
Not
he
just
was
maybe frailty.
He was
I don't
like
know.
internal raging, and it was coming out, and he's very controlled but terrifying. Dude, great scene in that movie.
Great scene, absolutely. Yeah, on par with his, but not talked about as much as the interstellar cry scene, but a different emotion. You know what I mean? Like it's like
that thing's been memed a lot,
go.
but like if people can not laugh at all the, because there's so many memes for that, but that is legitimately
not a moment to laugh at. You know, it's like
not like when you create memes of it when it shows like
sure,
like the Bills losing again or another wide right.
Oh
like,
my god, yeah.
Anyway, all that to say,
Scott Norwood,
my hero. I didn't recognize any of the cast in the show. Maybe the one guy. I think I saw him in like one of those kind of like young adult books brought to movie adaptations. I'm like, was it Convergence or the
Divergent? Yeah, yeah, that whole series, Allegiant, Divergent, all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was that or Maze Runner, but anyway, I recognized one of the guys who's kind of.
Most recently, he was in White Lotus, and as one of the. There's a couple. It follows multiple people in the White Lotus, but like he plays one of the married couples, and the other married couple is Aubrey Plaza and this other guy. He's a great actor. He plays a really good like skeezy looking dude where you're like, he's up to something. He's got that kind of look about him where you're like, I don't know if I fully trust this guy. And I feel like that's exactly why they cast him in this. Even though he's kind of being roped into this criminal empire that he did not really want to be in.
The reluctant criminal.
Yeah, exactly. But you still sense that kind of darkness in him as he's going through, weaving through these problematic scenarios. Yeah, just from the opening episode, you'll be like, "Yep, this is Guy Ritchie. This is Guy Ritchie."
I'm absolutely gonna watch this.
The ending has like all this opera stuff going on while somebody's in a chicken suit doing a dance, and you're like,
"Yep,
what is happening right now?" Guy Ritchie has those cocaine-fueled type of moments in his movies, and then like of course it's building to this like really tension-filled moment, and I just love Guy Ritchie stuff, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe not the King Arthur Aladdin stuff. Like, don't go mainstream anymore. Just stay in what you're doing. Stay in your lane. And I think it's working.
And yet, I would argue those were probably it could have been worse with a different director because he did give them some flair.
I agree with that. Yeah,
they weren't great though.
He tried.
Yeah, they weren't even good. Anyway,
he tried. It's also when you're hired at Disney, you're hired to be part of a system. You're not hired to be an artist.
True. And
he directed within the system. So
listen, he got some paychecks, especially for Aladdin. I would imagine he got a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely. That movie, for as much as people like dog it or kind of shrug about it, I'm like, y'all, people went and saw the movie again and again.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
my kids fell in love
millions
with
of dollars.
My daughter especially loved the Jasmine and her new song and all the girl power stuff. Like,
wait, Guy Ritchie did Aladdin?
Yeah, the live action Aladdin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
There's only maybe one or two moments where I was like, oh, there's a little chase sequence through the market. That's probably him. Otherwise,
yeah, I feel like that. Yeah. Oh man, I do remember watching that. Going, this could be in like Snatch. Like this could be.
Hey, that was more than Disney usually does. All right.
He had to call Mr. Disney or whatever. While Disney's frozen head and be like, hey, can I
like, do a foot race through like these close?
Can I do camera tricks in this one
alleys?
Scene?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's his thing. That's what he does. No, I'm absolutely going to watch this, and I need to start it. I need to get through it even before Netflix cancels another good show, because when I hear that they've canceled something, my interest in going back, even if it like is if you tell me like, hey, it's great, start to finish, it tells a full story, doesn't need more seasons.
Dude,
I'm still a little bit down on it. Like,
me too. Like, especially like hearing how disappointed Kyle was about a recent show, The Brother's Son.
The Brother's Son. That's a
SUN. Getting canceled after he watched the first season and loved it. So him being as mad as he was made me think, oh, it must be a cliffhanger. And I got halfway through the season. It is awesome. It's such a good show.
Right.
So funny. Such great action. But now I'm like, do I finish it? I don't understand. What do I do with this information? Like,
that's how I feel about the what was it, 1893 or whatever the guys that did Dark.
1883, yeah. Oh my gosh.
1883. Like, I'm so furious about that. Like,
yeah. Oh no, 1883 was the Yellow. I'm sorry, I'm confusing it for the Yellowstone spinoff.
I know it's a year.
It is a year. You're right, and it's a time travel, timey-wimey story.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's the guys that did Dark on Netflix, which
1899. I think it was 1899.
1899. Okay.
The Order 1886. Yeah.
The Order
that also needs a sequel.
I'm just bringing it back to games, guys. I'm just bringing it back.
That needs a sequel.
Anyway,
the other
Netflix
TV thing I want to
cancel happy, except Avatar is getting 2 more seasons, which is wild. But okay.
I think it's all about viewership, and I'm guessing Avatar just has so many people watching it. And
I think it's still number one.
Yeah.
But it's just disappointing when they do, and Square Enix does this too, of bragging about the success of a show, which they did for Brother Sun because it was successful internationally for a couple weeks, and then they said, "Yeah, we gotta like a month later, they're like, "Yeah, we gotta cancel."
Maybe there's some things about that show I don't know. Like, it can't be that expensive to make, right?
Yeah.
A show like that, it's not like it's a big fantasy world show,
right?
Is
it's
it?
not like when with 1890, whatever it is, 1899. With that one,
1, 2, 3.
They did brag about it in a press release, just like they did with Brother Sun, where they were like, "Look at how amazing the show is." Anyway, it's canceled now. What? It was so confusing. Like,
so annoying. Well, one that's super successful commercially, critically, audiences are loving it. And we don't have to talk much about it. I just wanted to mention episode 3 of Shogun. Amazing. Like, I am loving this show so much. And so I'm part of me is like, man, I'm mad that they didn't release all of it, but part of me is also kind of enjoying the what's gonna happen next. So I'm excited.
And I do love like pondering on an episode after I just watched it.
Yeah.
Whereas other things that are bingeable, which I still like doing that sometimes. Like The Gentleman, I'm gonna get through and I'm gonna forget it by November. Like I'm gonna be like, I couldn't tell you the story. I don't know. I'll just breeze through it. So I get the weekly.
So listen, I am loving it. I just hope it doesn't, because I remember back in the day on Netflix really digging a show called Marco Polo that eventually kind of, I know it got canceled.
Kyle
it
really loved
that show. It got a few
show.
seasons,
really
but that one for me personally, I started to kind of be like losing interest. It's not like the quality didn't go down. It was just kind of like, oh, I think they might be spinning their wheels a little bit. Like they're not sure how quickly do we progress the story, because how many seasons will we get? There was some element of that, and then it just kind of stopped.
I felt that from the first season. I was kind of like, is this show gonna last? Because
the pacing was very weird.
I was like, this is so expensive looking. Like, there's no. By season 1, I knew. I was like, there's no way it's gonna last. Somehow they were gifted, I think, a couple more seasons.
I want to say they got 3 total. Maybe
3 total, yeah. And I still don't know, because I didn't get past season 1. I still don't know if they actually resolved anything.
It was another really cool historical setting in Eastern Asia where a white guy's the main character. So here we go again. Shogun. Sure. But no, Shogun's
Marco Polo proper, by the way, not.
Yeah.
It's not like Bryan Cranston going, "Trust me, I know where, I know how to play in a swimming pool," or whatever. I don't know.
Right. Right. You're right. It is definitely not.
It is a Spanish guy. Like
Bryan Cranston. Yeah. Oh my gosh!
I just wanted.
That sounds like a good idea, though.
I just wanted to workshop a Bryan Cranston impression. It could go places. It's a little too.
Just do Walter White.
Yeah, this is the place to try that kind of stuff out. This is the place to do it.
I had to bounce back after the McConaughey fail. So.
All right, you nailed the Stone Cold, and then you did another one that was excellent. I'm already
just do the Crow. Do the Crow.
I'm a Crow.
Robert De Niro.
Oh no, that's De Niro. That's De Niro Crow.
That's De Niro Crow.
I mean, De Niro Crow, yeah.
Dan, if you've never listened to him reading poetry,
I could do Austin Butler. I'm Austin. Butler. He's almost a little Stone Coldy, but like he's
it's almost a little Stone Cold there, yeah.
But you should. There was a video that went viral on TikTok because people were politely, I guess, jabbing at his voice. Not really polite, but you know what I mean. But we're like,
no one's polite.
Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya and Austin, and they're introducing themselves, and he's like, "I'm Timothy, I'm Zendaya, I'm Austin." And everybody's just making fun because he's clearly affecting his voice in a certain way to sound like a badass or whatever.
And if you've watched my movies, give me hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And when he projects, I'm like,
it's like Sleepy Stone Cold. That's what he is. Yeah. He's a Sleepy Stone Cold.
Sleep.
Oh gosh. Okay. Shogun's amazing. Can't recommend it more. It's on Hulu and Disney Plus apparently. I didn't know it was on Disney Plus as well.
Yeah,
it's on Disney Plus.
I think they started in like the beginning of last quarter. They were like, "Screw it, we're putting Hulu stuff on Disney Plus."
Yeah,
weird. And I don't know if that is an eventual means to get rid of Hulu, which means getting rid of countless other programs on there that they have a deal with, like networks over. So
yeah, and they have. By the way, Hulu's movie selection is pretty good. Like I've got a bunch that now that I've fired it back up, I'm like, they added Poor Things. They've got The Creator, which I just started up today. I actually fell asleep though because I was like in the middle of my
you're not really feeling great. I
crashed, but I watched like the first 20 minutes of it before I hit stop and just let myself fall asleep.
How great are those visuals, man?
I love it. I can't wait to watch the creator. So anyway,
did you already get to the Radiohead song scene where it's like
that's about where I stopped.
Yeah, that sequence is so cool, and it's just a simple helicopter flying over a city thing, and I just love the vibe.
Dude, as soon as the little like keyboard kicked in,
oh, that movie,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I was like creator. I was like, that's the one I watched right recently. Like,
yeah,
really good.
But yeah,
sci-fi one.
So like that's the type of stuff that should be on Disney Plus now too. But so I mean, they're still kind of figuring out how to separate their services. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like you see Disney and you think you don't think adult, I guess. Like
right.
Adult
Poor
content
Things,
like
especially. There's so much hibbity dibbity in that movie. You know what I'm saying? There's so much deflowering going on.
They put Deadpool on Disney. Once they put Deadpool on there, like anything goes. I feel like.
Yeah.
Sure.
True. A lot of taint jokes in that movie. Yeah.
Some stuff happening, especially in the second one when he's little. His legs are little.
Yes.
And he does the leg cross. Remember when he does the leg cross?
Yeah.
He does the Sharon Stone like leg readjustment.
Dude, I tell you, in the moment when I saw that scene in the theater, I couldn't decide if I loved it or hated it, but I couldn't stop laughing.
I couldn't breathe when I first saw that
part.
I was like, what is happening?
And then now I've just full on embraced it, like the absolute absurdity and stupidness of that scene.
It's
my God.
Dumb.
Yeah.
And I love them for making it so much. It's awful and hilarious. I'm actually so Shogun is one of them. Creator is a new movie, and I'm gonna give one more kind of my quick hit before we do some headlines, and then I'll probably duck out. My voice is starting to go too. But one other quick hit I wanted to highlight. I highlighted it in the group and on our podcast Facebook page. Make sure you guys are following us there. Join the group if you want to. There in Facebook. But Banishers, the Ghosts of New Eden. I am pretty much at the final set of missions where you can kind of trigger the last few things, but there's a lot of optional stuff, and most of them are hauntings, and I'm like, I gotta do these. Like, I'm talking about Witcher 3 level of interesting mini side stories that I'm like, well, I gotta see what happens over here.
Yeah,
and it's anything from, scorned lovers to soldiers in arms, and one of them felt betrayed, to a slave owner and their slave, and all these hauntings have these very unique relationships. Sometimes it involves love, sometimes money, sometimes some kind of betrayal. Maybe they were enemies, but you don't know. Like, every time I've started one, I'm like, oh, this is probably just a husband and wife, and the husband, nope, that's not what it is. Holy cow, I didn't see that one coming. Like, there's lots of really cool creative storytelling. I feel like Don't Nod had a whole bunch of, I could be wrong, but I just feel like they had a whole bunch of short stories that they wanted to include in here. And it's like, here's the bullet points of the short story. Character A and character B.
Twists and turns.
And here's some twists and turns. And then at the end, you decide. Hardly any of them, I can't think of one that was obvious who's in the wrong. Almost all of them had some element of like, you shouldn't have done that, but also like, you really shouldn't have done that. And and so you have to decide. And then what you decide has an impact on the main storyline decision that's available to you at the end of the game. Crazy. So like, if you want to go one direction with your main storyline between Red and Antea, you have to be consistent with the decisions you make with the side hauntings. Otherwise, when you get to the end, you won't have a choice. And you've made an oath to each other. So if you make an oath, but you pick wrong for the side hauntings and you go the other direction, you're going to break your oath, and it's actually going to make the ending of the game pretty horrible from what I've heard. Yeah. So
interesting.
Which is awesome.
You're talking my language with all the stuff that you keep sharing about this game.
I love
it. And I'm only like 90 minutes in, so I didn't even get to the main thing that happens in the prologue before the main story actually kicks in. I haven't even gotten that far because I'm so busy running around, exploring, feeling the vibes out. So that alone sells me the beginning stuff, but like all the additional narrative stuff.
Yeah, the
gray areas.
Voice acting was great. I highly recommend. If the combat doesn't click with you, even after you unlock some abilities, just put it on the story or easy mode. I forget what they call it in this game. That way you do decent damage. It can get frustrating.
I'm already on that.
Until you get into the groove of like, oh, ghost form does that. Like when they switch colors, or maybe they're in a certain mode, and it's hard to know, but all of a sudden you'll do like 50 damage, and then over here you're doing 3. You're like, oh, I just have to switch characters who's attacking. Almost like Final Fantasy VII in a way, where it's like, figure out the weakness. And if you're going to get frustrated, like I was hitting a wall when I was playing some Rebirth today, and I was just like, what is happening? And I just wasn't thinking clear. I just wasn't like being smart. I was just going in there and like doing all my moves without thinking like, oh, that guy's weak to ice. I should.
Why won't it just let me button mash?
Why won't it do
the game?
Yeah. So yeah, this has some of that as well. And there's a lot of optional tough fights that I don't know, on story mode maybe they're much easier, but they give you really great rewards, which I really like. You can level up everything.
So if you're on normal, there's 2 below that are easier. Like so,
Oh, really? Okay.
I think I'm pretty sure I'm on easy.
Okay.
And then there's like breeze through it. You just care about story, like one hit
Gotcha.
kills. I think.
Gotcha. Most of the storyline fights are not hard. It's the bonus stuff where you'll find like this little pile of bones. It's got all this wispy stuff coming up from it, where it's like, hey,
God
this
of
is
War,
going to be a scourge type of an enemy.
Right.
Are you
It's
sure
like the
you
God
want to
of
fight
War
this
optional
thing?
bosses.
Exactly. Yeah. And,
where you're like, oh, what did I sign myself up for?
and as soon as
Reaching
you
my
start
hand
it
into
and he
that,
comes out and you hit him the first time and you see the health bar barely move, you're like, crap. Okay, I'm going to be doing this for a while.
Shit.
It's funny when Remake has Rebirth, mostly, I guess, Rebirth. I don't remember Remake having this many boss fights where you're doing a side quest in Rebirth and you're like, you get up on the final boss and you're like, oh, God dang it.
I'm not ready for
I
this.
should have stayed the course. What am I doing?
I just want to find out what happens. Why am I knocking my head against the wall over here? But yeah, man, the environments get really creative. There's a whole segment. I didn't realize it was going to be this big of a segment. I thought I was just going up to the fort, talk to some people, probably do a fight or two, and then head back. Well, instead they send you down to these mines that go what feels like miles deep, and there's all these caverns and secrets to find, multiple fast travel points because it goes so far down into these mines.
Jeez.
And it culminates in this gigantic and really creepy boss fight. And when it was all over, I was like, this game rocks, dude. Like they didn't have to do this.
Flat
like,
out rocks. Wow.
This
That's
game
awesome.
is awesome. Like it deserves the 80 something scores because there's moments where like the faces aren't quite right. Some of the textures kind of pop in. Sometimes the ground like almost looks like it's moving as it's loading in and flattening correctly. Like technically it's not AAA. There's
But
a
they
little
can
bit
iron that out, little stuff
you
like
could
that.
iron it out. And it's also it didn't break immersion. It was fine. Like you just
Sure. Yeah.
and then
Plague Tale had plenty of those moments too, like the first one especially. So.
Exactly. And that's why I compare it to something like Plague Tale. As Derek and I talked this week, he has a new little podcast, by the way, on our channel called What Are You Playing? If you guys want to go check that out. But we were talking about Banishers, and it actually, you can compare the combat, wait for a second, with God of War. It's not as good. It's not as good as God of War. Like the new God of War. Those games feel perfect. Like the weight of the weapons and like the aiming, it feels amazing. This doesn't feel like that. This one's much lighter. When you swing and hit, it feels like I don't know, it's too lightweight. So it doesn't have the same satisfying feeling at all. But it is zoomed in close over your shoulder. You have a little radial around you that gives the right colors of what direction an attack's coming from, so you know when to block or attack. The parry system is pretty much the same. And then you hit triangle to switch to your other character who's in ghost form, and they attack totally differently. So like you switch mid battle, and so it reminds me a bit of when I'm playing God of War and I switch to the spear or switch to the axe. Like there's a little bit of that feeling when you're in some fights, but it's not nearly as good. Don't get me like if God of War is an A+, which I believe it is, this is probably a solid like B. Like it's not bad. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, the B's not for bad. Yeah.
Yeah, B's not for bad.
B's not for bad.
I only compare them because that's the perspective and that's the feeling when you go into a fight.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, cool. I really, really dig it. Highly recommend it. And I'm kind of sad.
Well, if you love it this much for these reasons, these specific reasons you've listed, I'm gonna love it. Maybe even more. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Because I'm such a, I'm trying to avoid saying the word slut this close to International Women's Day. But I did it anyway. Keep it in, leave it. It's fine. Leave
Here's
it
what I'm trying. Here's the words I'm trying to avoid saying. Let me listen.
I'm such a Chad. There, let's be
all right,
Cassandrist a little bit. I'm such a Chad for these narrative-driven games that have so much expanded stuff in it.
Yep.
That doesn't need to be there. They could have phoned it in.
Like I kind of thought this game would have middling combat, which at the beginning it does. You're kind of hitting the same button over and over with maybe a strong attack, and I'm like, all right, cool. The story's good enough, and I'm just gonna skip all the optional combat stuff because this combat's not fun. Well, they do make it more fun when you get this other mode and the other abilities. I'm like, all right, now I do kind of like the combat. So
and you get a skill tree, right? A loose, like a small.
There is it's a very small skill tree, but as you unlock new moves, you can kind of, if you really like using the ranged weapon that you get, you can buff that one up if you really like the sword, and then switch into her like mid combo. She can come and do an uppercut. Like there's lots of cool stuff you can do.
More God of War comparisons there.
Yeah, man. Like the
because their skill trees were not dense. Yeah.
Yes, the fluidity of the combat is impressive. I didn't expect it to feel this good. It's not perfect. There's plenty of moments that I was like, well, I clearly hit the guy, or like the parry window was weird. That there's some glitchiness here and there. Which this is my new Plague Tale game, where I can overlook those non-AAA moments because the rest of it is so fun and so good. And I was thinking about what did I love so much about Plague Tale? It was Misia and Hugo. It was this brother-sister relationship that I bought hook, line, and sinker and just loved throughout both those games. And there are other relationships too that are throughout the game, but it's mainly those two. And Banishers is doing the same thing to me. Red and Antea have such a believable bond as a couple, and I love it. It's not like, listen, I love the Uncharted banter, but it's not like that where you're getting, kind of like nudge, nudge, like yeah. It's not like kind of like chippy. It's think of the serious and meaningful moments of an Uncharted where you're like, well, that felt real. It's it's like that. There's a lot of that. It's very, very kind of touching and heartbreaking all at once, dude. It's really, really good. So I personally give it higher than the average. I think is like 82. To me, this is like a 9 out of 10. Only taking the point off because there's some rough edges in the overall quality.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But man, it is excellent. Highly, highly recommend. When you finish Rebirth, and if you haven't already dove into Ronin or Dragon's Dogma 2, crap.
We're never gonna circle back to other games until the summer, basically. Like they have to.
It's last year all over again.
Yeah,
it's last year all over again.
But then last summer had Final 16, right? So
yeah.
And this
summer, hopefully, fingers crossed, we won't have that experience.
I've got the dumb Elden Ring DLC, so I'm in trouble.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Shit. And most gamers will be on that. So
yeah, and I'm gonna hold my statue up. It's only yours is a 19-inch statue, right, of Sephiroth, Dan?
You're damn right it is.
Mesmer the Impaler is only 18-inch statue. So.
Wow. Mine's bigger.
It is.
Therefore, Elden Ring sucks.
Yeah. That's how you decide what game's better is the size of the statue.
How many inches though? Okay, well then it's trash.
Well, it's garbage.
That's what she said.
Too, this is the first time that I've really tried the Steam Deck. It streamed it from my PC. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like if your PC is on, it'll give you the option on your Steam Deck to play on your Steam Deck or play from your PC.
I have noticed that.
And I've never tried
to install it if you need to.
As long as your PC is on and Steam is open, I just turned my monitor off because it'll fire up the game.
Streaming,
fire up the game on your PC. And
the Portal does, yeah.
Exactly, and you just play it on your Steam Deck. And I played several hours of Banishers that way.
Wow!
Up in my bed with the Steam Deck, and I think I had one moment where it kind of latency glitched for a second, and everything else was super smooth. So pretty good. Yeah,
that's impressive. That's
good.
Really impressive.
Pretty good. And my battery life was like 6 hours compared to like 1.5 for a beefy game like that.
Whoa.
Because I was just streaming from another device, and the system barely got hot. It was just relaying an image that something else is generating.
Yeah.
So it was much
I have
better.
The Wi-Fi to support that, so I should definitely try that sometime.
Yeah, give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are my quick hits. I'm gonna let you guys decide how much you want to just do Rebirth. Forget about all these headlines. If you want to spend a lot of time on quick hits, you two can decide that. I'm gonna let you guys finish it out with the fireside chat. Only thing that I want to say as far as headlines go, I do want to just say how sad it is that Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama has passed away. True tragedy. Like that is so sad. He was 68.
Like Goku.
That's awesome.
Goku. I got freaking hold on. This is a big fella. Freaking Broly over here.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Just going at big fella. Dude, he's fucking huge.
Cool.
Like Broly is
I didn't know that.
He's a massive dude. These I got last year. I've always just wanted a bunch of DB because I have the Funko Pops right above me. You can see Frieza right there and Goku and Vegeta right up top on the windowsill. And then I have a Shenron over there too. But
it's been really neat to see all these other creators kind of share the impact he had on them and what they've created since then. Everyone from Japanese creators, but even internationally people who have like, hey, Dragon Ball Z and the other things that he's made. He's not limited to just that. Of course, he's made plenty of things. It changed the course of a lot of people's creative life and how they decided to tell stories. So yeah, really sad, but it's really cool to see his life celebrated. Like that's always that silver lining when like you've left a good legacy. So I like that. It's just a kind of a tragic, sudden passing of this guy. Only 68.
Because I said in the chat, I'm like, 68's not. He's not like super he's not super old, super young. It's just he was still working on things. Like clearly he still had the energy and the passion to still be doing things, and it's just suddenly happened. And that's, aside from just in general being a tragedy and, his poor family, just the shock of that, whenever something like that happens and it's not expected, it's not like, oh, well, they had cancer and, things were happening. It's just awful. But yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, like it was my first anime and it's my favorite. So I mean, Kyle and I literally,
it was mine too. It was when I was it was definitely adolescence. I think I was like 11 or 12.
Because Cartoon Network used to air them all the time.
Yes, especially late at night, and when I would finally be allowed to stay up late. My brother, that's what he was watching on Adult Swim, is just reruns. And then obviously the reruns are running like in order from like the 90s when it aired or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, so I was just watching old episodes
back
going,
to back.
How have I never watched this before? Like
why
the story.
Why is he charging up for so long? What is happening?
Oh, we got to go to commercial and he's still doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I remember all that. My brother too. He was the one. It's his fault I got into it at that age, and then eventually you just fall off of certain things in life, and you just never go back to it because it's just like, well, look how far they've come since then, and it's too late. Yada yada. You make all these excuses. I know it's not. I know it's not. But yeah, I always cherish those memories because that was like for my brother and I when I was at that age and I was kind of shitty as a kid. Can you believe that? Me? No.
I was trying not to like.
I was a saint.
Yeah.
I'm a saint now. No, but I was kind of shitty as a kid. So like my like parents and siblings. Not that my sister was with us for that long. By that point, she got married and moved out. They were just kind of like, if I talk to him, is he going to walk on eggshells or not? So this was like our silent bonding moment, and. Yeah, we just got real dorky, made dorky jokes watching it and stuff like that, and yeah.
But also loved it. So like I was the same way, man. Yeah. Where it's like, this is kind of cheesy. Why are they doing this? But I was also super into it and like leaning forward.
This is silly, right? Shut up! I'm watching it.
Yeah, shut up!
Shut up! It's back from commercial.
I still remember watching the whole Cell saga and just being enraptured the whole time. It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had nothing, but I didn't watch any of the Ghibli movies, the old stuff. Okay. That wasn't until adulthood when I could actually appreciate stuff, So yeah, that was my first anime for sure.
It's funny because for me, I say Dragon Ball Z, but like, so I remember even before that when I was even younger, the first time I ever went to Portugal to visit family, my mom, my sister, and I was like 11 or something, 10 or 11, and I remember seeing Dragon Ball on TV in Portugal. So like,
whoa,
watch Dragon Ball in Portuguese, the theme song in Portuguese, because they actually had the different theme songs in different like there's a YouTube video I found where it's like the songs are actually different in different countries. It's not just the same song, but they changed the lyrics. Like it actually sounds like different theme songs for the opening, which is really cool. But yeah, I remember watching that when I was there, but then obviously once I hit high school and then, when I jumped into it and I had found Dragon Ball Z, it was in the Frieza saga. Well, Frieza saga, but like obviously that's broken up into different little sections, but basically I just call it the saga. So, but yeah, the whole moment of Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time will just be burned into my memory forever. So like it's like the music is also like insane, the way it's like swelling up and he's just like freaking out because he just, spoiler alert, watched his friend be murdered, just exploded in midair, which then causes the chain reaction to finally have Goku snap and go Super Saiyan. It's just, I don't know. It's there's something simple, but like, because DBZ is like, it's such a simple, it's almost like a simple meathead anime, if that makes sense. Because like, there's so much anime out there, and a lot of it is like probably objectively like better because like the writing is more interesting.
Like Attack on Titan's got, I don't know. There's so many complexities morally and like.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying. Not that Dragon Ball is so simple, but like anybody can just pick it up and be like, "Oh, I know the story here. I know what's going on." Like it's accessible.
Watch Death Note?
No, not yet.
Okay, like
I'm
Death
told
Note
I would like it. I'm told I would really like it.
super interesting and complex the way that like the guy who has the Death Note and the way he's going up against this other guy and they're like trying to one up each other because he's trying to figure out who has the Death Note and is killing everybody. But
There's
even
a
something like that
element to that,
yeah. But I don't know, man. It's just DBZ it's just pure fun of just watching these guys just power up and yell and change forms and fighting people, and I don't know. It's just
there's a huge pro wrestling element to it because like, well, I guess I should say pro wrestling borrowed so much stuff from Dragon Ball Z over the years.
That one
so much. Yeah, there's one guy who like legit. There's what I guess should say one moment in particular where like, man, I'm trying to remember why he freaking did this. They were doing a top rope Hurricane Rana, you know, where they like another guy jumps up on your shoulders, his legs are right here. He's supposed to flip over with him.
Jeez. Yeah.
And when he flipped the other guy over, the other guy just flipped all the way back around to his feet and just stood there, like right behind him. And then the way they stare at each other is just so anime, straight out of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's all the flippy stuff that you can think of as Dragon Ball, like the long-term storyline of like Roman Reigns as being like the only one that could take him down. Like he's like in his like Vegeta phase, I guess. Like he's just
Or what's the three dudes there? They actually came out dressed in
New Day, the New Day, yeah.
Yeah, they came out in like Dragon Ball Z attire or whatever.
They did,
like,
yeah. And my dumbass was like, "Are they all the White Power Ranger?" Later on, they did Power Ranger stuff.
Sure.
After Jason David Frank passed, R.I.P. But like, my dumbass was like, "Oh, they're like all dressed as Goku." Like I didn't, or Vegeta. I guess it was the vest, the shoulder pads.
Was
it Goku or was it?
I always mix it up.
No, that was Goku.
With the white and the gold.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Vegeta then, because that's like the suit. That's like the when he's in the Frieza like army, like they have the suits.
Gotcha. Okay.
The orange gi is.
So
Goku's,
I watched that. See that visual I remember watching as a kid. So like I mix it up.
It is crazy to hear like the impact that Toriyama's designs and visuals and characters have had.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's wrestling, other anime, video games, the way we do a lot of fighting in video games even today was influenced by what he created.
I feel like that's all I'm getting is things going Super Saiyan in Rebirth. Like that's like the final phase of every boss fight. It's Super
absolutely.
Saiyan.
Dragon Warrior / Dragon Quest, literally like older than Final Fantasy technically, is all based like visually off of his style. Like he created what that series looks like. It's his style that is that RPG series, which is insane, you know.
So definitely a big loss. But if you for some reason are watching or listening to this and you haven't really, whether it's watched Dragon Ball Z or whatever else, just look up Akira Toriyama. Look at the work that he's done. It's incredible, and look at the way that he's currently being remembered and honored. It's really neat. So make sure you take some time to look him up. All right, guys, I'm gonna bow out. I'm gonna go to bed. Like I'm ready to fall asleep. So I'm gonna go to bed, see if I can get better for tomorrow. But you guys continue on with the show. I'm out.
Sure.
All right, later.
Okay.
Now we can say
bye, Dad.
Racist things. Bye. Have a good night.
Boobs and stuff.
Boobs.
Yep.
Hey Dan,
see, he can't cut that out. He can't.
Hey
cut
Dan,
that out.
are you still awake? Remember those moments at sleepovers where you're just laying there in the dark with your friend when you were a kid?
Hey.
And they're like on the floor, you're in your bed, and they're like, "Are you still awake? What are you thinking about?" and then one of you goes, "Boobs." That's it. Like
boobs, titties,
poopy boobs. Anyway, there was we can close with more Rebirth talk because I do have a lot more thoughts on it, and I think you're still further ahead than me, right? Like, I mean.
No, you're one chapter ahead of me. I just got.
Oh, that's right. You just said before when we were talking about it. Off air, I guess. Yes, that's right. So I'm a little ahead of you, but last time we talked, you were ahead of me, and I was just like,
"Oh no, Kyle was furthest."
I had things going on. Yeah, Kyle might still be the furthest ahead of all of us. But yeah, I want to definitely have more thoughts, share more thoughts on that. But we could just do quick hits first, and then go back to any headlines we feel like we could revisit. I don't know of any others that really grab me as much as Akira Toriyama. That situation, but situation called his death. The situation. It's
an unfortunate situation.
That shenanigan. But yeah, so the only other quick hit I had is brand new. and it's a TV show called Extraordinary that I brought up before. It had season 2 that just came out on Friday. And this is a show that it's a comedy, half-hour comedy, 8 episodes a season so far. It's very British, but the concept of the show is that pretty much the whole world, everybody has superpowers, and they're all very weird.
Sure.
Like there's no super all-powerful person.
They're extraordinary.
Like, yeah,
you could say.
But they're very specific. Like there's one person that can talk to technology. There's one person that turns into only cats. There's other people that have like even more ridiculous abilities. One person can channel dead people.
Sure.
Very specifically, like can actually find their ghosts, take them in. Her eyes.
So is this more of is this a comedy?
Yeah, it's
like
straight up comedy. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Like some of the powers are even like there's one guy that when in season 1 where if he touches a person, they get an orgasm. So some people have
could you imagine
really awful like one-off abilities. But the lead character of the show does not have like a power. It just hasn't come out facilitated itself or anything, and she's like in her late 20s or mid 20s.
Okay.
But it's funny. Like, I mean, the first episode is like the cat that she adopted. You find out it's like a dude, and he ends up being a main character the rest of the show. And they named the cat Jizzlord, so they called the guy when he turns into a regular guy, like Jizzy or just Jizzlord. It's like they never change his name to a human
British
name.
humor. Yeah. It's just British, silly so British stupid. Humor.
Oh man! Oh, and there's another character in season 2 who, just a side character, who can control other people with her name. She can like, hey, these other girls are named Taylor, and I made them come to a bachelorette party with me or whatever. Like, I can't get anybody to hang out with me, so I just control people that are my name. Like, that's my very specific ability. I can't control anybody else.
That would be an awful superpower. Yeah, that would suck.
I can mind control them. Yeah. It's super goofy. I can't help but recommend it to people, especially if they like the Deadpool type of humor. Not that it's that meta, but it does get that dirty sometimes. And it is geared towards adults. Like, I mean, it's very funny in that sense. Yeah, I recommend that one. That's the only other thing I wanted to bring up that I have. Are you playing anything else or streaming anything different? Watching anything else?
I'm literally just playing Rebirth. I finished Final Fantasy II last night, so I finished it. That is done. I am now 1/3 the way through the Pixel remasters because I finished 1 and 2. So now I'm gonna move to 3. I'm gonna move right on to 3. No breaks of Mario or anything. I kind of sometimes I squeeze in a Mario game in between them. I'm just gonna go right into 3. So
gotcha.
Just dive right in.
Fun.
I had like a little bit, like I finished it a little earlier last night than I thought I would. So I played a little Dragon Ball Fighters. I played a little Dragon Ball Fighters at the end, just to kind of a nice little like homage thing.
Right.
So that game is beautiful. But it's very frenetic. And I've only like done the tutorial once a while back, so like I was just mashing buttons. But whatever, it's Dragon Ball Z. All the chaos is very it's very anime. It's the game looks great. People should check that game out if for some reason you never played it. It's a fighting game.
Just the fighters.
Yeah, fighters. But yeah, so finished that last night. My wife and I are in the middle of the 2nd season of Spy X Family. That's a fun anime. I think if you're trying to find, it's cute. It's like a comedy anime, but like it has the moments of violence. Like we just finished this particular story where like basically there was a bunch of assassins going against Yuri, who's like the wife character, and it got for what the show is a little violent and bloody, but yeah, it definitely leans into the comedy a lot. I think it's a good anime if you're trying to find something for you and your significant other to watch that's like just kind of like fun and silly and cute, but like again, there's like enough action there where if you prefer more action leaning animes like me, that there's something there. I appreciate the humor too, but And it's like looks good. Like it's well drawn. Like the good details. Like it doesn't look poorly made or anything. Um, so yeah, and the second season's like shorter. It's only 12 episodes. Season 1 they did do the full 24.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe because the manga is like basically almost done and it's the whole run's not super long either. So I think like overall it's not going to take that long to like conclude. Like a nice breezy thing there.
It was always nice feeling like you check something off your list and you're like, I can actually do stuff. I can actually do stuff with my life or whatever. There's that weird feeling.
No, dude, especially with anime, because I mean, they have to draw all of the anime, so it takes
like Attack
a long
on Titan.
time
Even though I just came in at the tail end, still feels like an accomplishment having finished. Like, oh my god, I can like move on with my life and do stuff, do activities.
Like literally, I haven't even finished it. Like I need to do that. I need to finish it. So,
it's worth dragging out because it is an experience you don't want to end. So I get it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Especially that third, like when I finished that third season, I was like, holy shit, like that was amazing. Like the third season is just such a bump up from season 2. So
yeah, definitely. Season 2 like took years, but it was like the shortest season they had. Like I don't remember if it was like a full 10 or whatever, but it was the shortest one for sure. And you felt like, yes, things had shifted, but they were backfilling a lot of lore.
Yeah,
like that we hadn't learned about yet. So it was like less action than season 3 just totally makes up for that. Like all the action is in season 3. Holy crap.
Sure did. And like big payoff, because then at the very end you're like, oh, so like that's what's going on here. Like it gets to like the precipice of like really what's the thing, and then you get into season 4 and they kind of start showing some stuff. There was something else that I watched, but I'm not remembering. Oh, Louis C.K. His newest stand-up, but I was watching that, and as I was going through, I was like, wait a minute, he's doing the Bible bit. I know I saw that. So I think he did a couple of bits, like repeat bits on that from the one before that.
Yeah.
But this one he was in Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah, the Madison Square Garden one is the he said before he released that one, because he live streamed it first and then he released it later. So the live stream, he was doing podcast advertising it, and he was like, this is just going to be mostly the same material that's on my special. So if you're waiting for my actual new special, skip this and maybe compare, I guess. But I'm still a Louis fanatic with his material specifically, obviously. Not him as a person. I don't know him as a person, so whatever. Doesn't seem like we get along. I'm gonna assume that. But listening to his jokes, jokes. I love it. So funny. So like I was like, okay, sure, I'll get the live stream, and then I listened to the special, and it's like, okay, it's the same thing, but it's, I don't know, it's like the jokes are more refined or something. I don't know.
Sure. See, I couldn't remember if like it's all the same jokes. I just the Bible one I remembered.
There's some stuff in the special that I was like, well, he didn't say this in the live stream, in MSG. Okay, that's a really funny joke. It's a nice kind of surprise too, because they're comedians and that's what they have. That's all they have is in the moment being funny. Like you can't It's not like a song you can just play on repeat when you go on tour as I don't know, Aerosmith or something. And you're like, play Walk This Way from the 80s or whatever. You can't just do that one
and then
joke
he says
you did.
No.
Yeah.
Because he's 80 years old.
Can't replay
and his knees don't work anymore
on tour, so I get it. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad you watched. I'm sure it sounded very familiar, but I'm glad you watched it too. It's a different energy.
Yeah, it was mainly that one and then another joke, but like because whenever the special was, like however many months before that, like I watched. It's enough time had passed where like if it was literally all the same jokes, I didn't remember them, so I still
that was the thing too with the special. Like even though it released like a month after the live stream, I was still like, okay, I know he told a lot of Jesus jokes or Bible jokes specifically. I don't. Can't recollect them though. Like can't repeat them verbatim. So it all still felt very new to me. So I get it. Yeah. So it still works.
Yeah. So that's what it was that I was trying to think of. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. And if there is something else, I don't remember.
Do you have anything, or can you see anything in the headlines that you were like, oh, this looks interesting? Because I don't.
I mean, there was the Xbox partner preview, but I didn't watch that, so I don't know if there was any. If you watched it, if there was anything that mattered.
I did. I felt like there were more titles that you might be interested in more than I
Okay.
am. Like there was some anime looking stuff that I was like, oh, that's interesting.
I mean, it's cool that 14 is coming to Xbox.
Kinitsugami actually is an RTS action game. I don't want to call it Fire Emblem, but whatever.
Okay.
Kinitsugami Path of the Goddess. Yeah. That one looks pretty good.
As you just said, Fire Emblem, right? But there was that Onimusha, that other one that's like Onimusha. Oh wait, no, it is this one. Okay.
This one? Okay, yeah, it is a Capcom game. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They closed the show with this one.
Yeah, this one just looks so visually. It looks like, I don't know. It's like a painting. It's like Japanese painting.
Yeah.
But like weird demons and like colorful weird stuff. But it has kind of almost like the DNA of Onimusha there. Like there's that samurai DNA.
And I've never played that, so okay.
Yeah, I love those games.
I know there was an anime Netflix did for that that game, which I still haven't finished, but it's good.
Okay.
First episode's good.
Get around to that one.
Yeah.
Yep. This one looks visually very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Just so the combat is like fun. So
I will say the altars looked pretty cool too. That was also shown at the Xbox partner preview. The altars is by the developer that did this War of Mine, where it's kind of like a survival game, but like you live in like kind of like one house and you can kind of grow your house. That's kind of the conceit of the game. Like you're just constantly growing your home base. But people can like, there's like a famine going on and because of war and stuff, and you're trying to keep everybody alive, but you can't. So new people will come in and replace some people that have died. You'll constantly meet new people and try to. So basically, the altars is that, but with clones. Like they take on. You're in space, and you're stranded, and you discover, oh, there's this cloning technology here. So you start to use different versions of yourself that might have made different decisions in life, in your life, like, and you're using them for resources to help you farm, to help you build base, stuff like that. Like and you're trying to make sure that you're not outside during sunrise because it can burn you alive. And some of these clones can die. Like some of them can get replaced. Like some of them will get mad, rebel against you, and leave. Like it's very interesting and very in depth, and it looked promising, like visually.
Like this dialogue choices, like having conversations.
Yeah, very dialogue driven. Yeah, but there's also like those resource mechanics that sometimes I do not. That's the one element that's like, I don't really want to be like, oh, I gotta plant stuff and monitor the garden.
You like real life where I have to take care of myself.
I don't have to take care of people like The Sims. But I don't know. There's something that's still like magnetic about these very interesting ideas. In gameplay.
I should skim through this show because I completely, obviously, my mind is just like rebirth. So.
Same here. Oh yeah, and they revealed what we already expected to happen. Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox finally, and that's coming on the 21st of this month. But that's been like the worst kept secret for months.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm just happy for Xbox having it because, like, well, first off, more money for Square, which then funds more Final Fantasy. So kind of selfish for me. I'm like,
yeah, they're never gonna Warner Brothers that situation and be like, it needs to all be a live service game now. They're just gonna take the right lesson and make more Final Fantasy. That's what they're gonna do.
But also just for the fan base that if you just for whatever reason only happen to have an Xbox, that you can at least play 14 on your TV because I mean that is a great MMO, so it's really. So.
And actually, all this Final Fantasy in the past less than a year for me, with 16 revisiting it for DLC, and then Rebirth, I'm kind of like, do I want to play 14 now? Like I feel like I want to jump in. Like damn it, I don't need this in my life. No, I haven't played it yet. No.
Okay. MMOs are very different beasts.
They are. Very different beasts. I did try. If it's anything like Skyrim's, I'll probably like it. Or not Skyrim's, Elder Scrolls Online. I'll probably like it.
Yeah,
because I did play hours of that too, but then like not as many hours as Kyle. He's played like hundreds.
Yeah,
I've played like upwards of like 10 or whatever. I did a few missions and I
Sure.
I had to stop myself. I was like, there's nothing else I'm gonna do in my life.
Right. No.
If I only
that's
play
the
this
problem.
game, I will cut everything else out. So that's
Dude,
the thing
that's
with
the
Final Fantasy
problem.
14 too, is like I'm literally gonna have no life except that game, unless if I play it. Whatever.
Yeah, because there's 4 to 5
Probably
expansions too. Like the actual base game, A Realm Reborn, is very long, and then you get the expansions, which just keeps extending the story. For the new one's about to come out in I don't know, a few months or something. I don't even know when. It's an obscene amount of stuff to do. And it just keeps going. You just keep going.
Right.
So yeah.
This is I don't think I want to talk about anything else. It's great that Ghost of Tsushima is coming to PC on May 16th. They're talking. Because
I mean, it's good, but it's also terrible, Jeff, because now it's on PC, and that means PlayStation is dead. So
yeah, PlayStation is dead. It's no longer a console company. They're just a games company.
Yeah, no, it's just they're just whoring their content over on PC.
They're basically what they claim, the ponies claim Xbox is at this point. They're no longer. No, I'm just kidding. That's of course
they're being whores.
Whores. Anyway, there's nothing else, and we could just go right to Rebirth.
I don't know what this was here that Tim put. Serious questions are being asked about the future of. That sounds ominous as hell.
I think it's in relation to Xbox, possibly not, being a console company anymore,
which
or even making games.
Before.
Like, I mean,
yeah.
Making game. Well, I mean, no, they are making games. They're just buying.
They bought so many companies. I can't imagine.
Right. But if that's all they become as a games company, then it's kind of like, well, then you're making space for more monopolization of console creators. Like, I made it sound like content creators, but you know what I mean.
Well, he put former Xbox, Sega, and Electronic Arts executive Peter Moore believes that serious questions are being asked about the future of console generations. Are these companies willing to go another round of multi-billion? Yeah, because I mean, investing in creating new hardware. And because I mean, I'm sure probably wrapped into that and the thinking of that is like all the layoffs going on. It's like, well, there's like a shift happening. So like, are people are these companies gonna want to invest in the R&D of making the
keep
systems,
wanting to lean towards cloud gaming and stuff, or streaming or whatever?
Yeah.
Which is obviously cost efficient, but that means the visual quality of fidelity of your game is they're basically just saying, we don't really care about that anymore. Like if they commit to cloud gaming, something like that, it's good. They're eventually just gonna be, but everybody streams games now, so who cares about genuine 4K content? It's not going to come through 4K, so who cares?
Not to sound like I'm not trying to sound like an old person, but
maybe that's one of the questions. I don't know.
I feel that there has to be both options. I think it's a dangerous, slippery slope to just completely remove physical media, because you have all this dipshit nonsense of them just like taking stuff off of the digital storefronts and they're just gone.
Even if it's in your library,
usually music,
like even if you own it, even if you actually bought, which is music too, is like you buy the license to own the game. You can't just remove my license to own the game. That's crazy.
So it's just
what's the point of those license agreements if I don't own the license to own the game? You know what I mean? Like I don't. What did I agree to?
I can't. You agreed to just give them money. That's it. Here, take my money. There you go. You just have my money.
That's dumb.
It is very
Roku kind of did that too recently, unrelated to video games, but they locked out their devices and they said you have to agree to this privacy policy, or you can't watch anything on your device. And that was for people if you even
contract here.
Yeah, which is, I don't know that that's ever happened before. To that extent,
to lock people out and do that, like
like if you did that on an iPad, that means okay, well you just don't get any updates, and you don't get apps or whatever. Like you need to sign into your Apple account to get apps. But you can still use the phone as a phone. Like, you can still call people. Like,
you go to try to dial 911 and they're like,
But Roku's basically saying, yeah, you can't use this device, period. Like, as a streaming, nothing. That's kind of slippery slope too.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. It's absurd. I feel like there needs to be like laws put in place for like that stuff where they can't, these companies can't like do that shit. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. You would think, I think the lobby is bigger for the companies than they are for the consumers.
Oh, sure, of course.
And money talks, obviously, in that world. Mm-hmm. Well, in the developers' world too, but you know.
Yes.
Anyway, we can just go to Rebirth.
You know what's not dumb, Jeff? You know what's not dumb?
Oh,
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, there we go. That's a masterful one. Tim will be upset he didn't come up with that himself. Yeah, I'm at. So we alluded to it. I'm at chapter 9, the beginning of chapter 9, meaning like 0%. I haven't done any of that, which does put me a little over halfway through the game, according to PlayStation. I'm at like 54% or something like that. All 19 inches of them. There's Sephiroth.
Hold on, Jeff. Right. There we go. All right.
Oh, and now we're copyrighted. Now we can't exist on YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah, now we're. Yeah, the show is canceled.
Or both of you. It's Tim's fault for putting this together.
Tim's fault for leaving us here by ourselves.
And he left us here by ourselves. So yeah. So it's all. You know what? Yeah. All of it can be traced back to him. Just like all of his illnesses can be traced back to his kids. So just pass on the blame.
Exactly.
But yeah, wait, I think you're in chapter 8. So you would still be. Are you still at the Gold Saucer? Like you're still playing those mini games?
It literally just got up to Gold Saucer. So that whole beginning.
That's where I ended last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
That beginning moment made me go like, and it might have just been the gummy talking. I don't know. Totally illegal, just normal sugar gummies, guys.
Right.
It might have just been that made me go. I feel like I wanted to do a Dan comparison. This is like a Pixar movie. This is crazy.
It's a Pixar movie.
It's a Pixar.
What's happening?
A Pixar movie.
They just broke out into dance and
yeah. The jazz music. I mean, it was already had some jazzy moments before that, but like that, they kicked it up by like several notches. They turned it up to 11. It got very jazzy, and then when you get it right outside the Gold Saucer, it gets very funky. There's a lot of funk.
A lot of funk.
The score is doing so much stuff, dude. And
that place is supposed to be super fun. You know, it's supposed to just be really just out there and wild. It's an amusement park. So,
super bright, and it's Vegas, basically. You can play games and bet on stuff. Chocobo races and stuff. Those mini games are crazy. I just wish they controlled better. That's been a source of aggravation for me. Like the boxing, when I did the tutorial, boxing is like the thing you do right as soon as you get it, Saucer. That's the first thing you do. And swear to God, I was following the prompts, and I was not yet on my regular sugar gummy.
Sure.
So I was playing Stone Cold Sober, no sugar, and and no I still was I'm pressing the right freaking buttons. It's not, and I keep getting hit. What's going on? So I just
I noticed
I got alarmist succumb to the fact I'll never move past this part. Like I was just getting so upset.
Well, did you get like, because like I wasn't getting it because it tells you to dodge or to like, and I was like, what's happening? Because I'm hitting right or I'm hitting left.
Yeah,
and he was just blocking. So you have to do it like right as he's about to hit you, and that's when he does the dodge.
Right.
So
I kept
it
doing
took
the
me
dodge
a second
so
to get
early
that.
because the punch is coming so slow. Like I was oh, there's shoulder. As soon as his shoulder's back, I'm dodging, and it's like, nope, it was too early, and then you get hit.
Right.
The WWE 2K24 has a slew of this, so it's not just Final Fantasy.
Same thing, literally same thing.
Same logic though. Same logic of the complaint. But yeah, that's not the only one though. Like there's one, and it's not even a mini game. It's just a side quest thing that you can do in a town outside of Gold Saucer, where you can. It's again inconsequential. You can totally skip it. Not relevant to the story. But they're called like a liar. They're basically liars, but they call it something more romantic in the game. But there's like a guy who teaches people to lie for a living and be a con man, and he's like, I have students here. I have students here, and they're all gonna tell you a bunch of lies, and you have to figure out which one of them is well, they're gonna tell you a bunch of things about the town, and one of them is lying, and you have to guess which one is lying.
Okay.
So I was like, cool, got it. And if I explain that wrong, then I misunderstood the rules, and that's probably why I can't get past this part. Because I feel like I was able to prove that one of the people was lying, and every time I selected them and guessed them as the liar, the game was like, "Oh, you're wrong." And I'm like, "Bullshit." He said that the drinks at the bar were not watered down. I literally just went and tested it, and it's watered down. And the game's like, "No, he didn't lie though. He didn't lie."
That person's the liar, Jeff. That's the real liar. It's the one in the bar.
I'm like, maybe that is maybe that's what the purpose of the game is like they're always going to lie to you no matter what, and you're just going to keep giving them money.
Sure.
But I don't believe that's true, because there's a guide for the mission, and it makes it seem like through the guide you can actually beat that part.
Okay.
Maybe that's just.
So wait, is that in Coral, or is that after Golden Saucer?
It's in Coral. It's in Coral.
Okay.
Yeah, Gold Saucer.
I haven't gotten that side quest.
Yeah. So like, if you noticed in Coral, when you get there, you're on the coast somewhere, and when you have to scroll like way south to see the rest of the map. The mission after Gold Saucer takes you on the opposite side of the map, so like you don't have to worry about running around. The story's going to take you there. Thank goodness, because I was worried for a sec. I was like, "What do you mean level 32? I'm 28. I can't move on unless I do the towers or whatever." Like
because it's like when you're doing the stuff outside of Costa del Sol, you're like kind of like in a beach area and a little bit of like some green terrain, and but there's like a point where you can't pass. It won't let you pass, so that's where you then go to the next like story quest, which is going up the Mount Coral.
And this is in the trailers. You get a buggy. It's
awesome. True. You do. You know what? You know what? It's also in, Jeff?
What?
It's also in
the original
OG Final Fantasy. So.
Is it?
Yeah.
For some reason,
so I knew that
the
was
graphics
happening.
Couldn't handle that. I don't know. I didn't know that was in that game.
Yeah. Oh, it looked stupid as hell. The buggy looked really dumb. It looked really dumb.
But this is great because there are some moments, or not some moments, but like it becomes a tool that you forget you have. So like, as soon as I get the buggy, so like I go to swim out somewhere, but there's like a bunch of sticks in front of the area, and I'm like, I can't swim past here. What's going on? They want you to take the buggy and drive it in there. And I'm like, oh, like I just couldn't use my brain for like 2 seconds. But so I'm in the middle of actually exploring that whole rest of the region before I move on, and having a blast with that, because I was actually kind of getting numb to. As soon as I got to Coral, I was like, oh my God, this is so much extra open world stuff. I don't have the endurance for this. I can't do it at this pace. And then the game kind of forces you to go back into the main story, which I really love that they did that, because I hit a bunch of really good emotional moments and stuff too, and really funny ones. So I'm kind of grateful for the break from the open world grind that I had the past 3 days.
Because that section's broken up good, because it is. It's long, after you leave Costa del Sol, it's like a little smaller, and then you go up Costa del Sol, and then I'm assuming like once you leave Golden Saucer, like you said, because Costa del Sol
it's the biggest map in the whole game. I think it's it's huge.
Yeah, because I mean, when I'm thinking back to the world map in OG, like that, like once you cross over the ocean, and I think of like that whole area, it like wraps around some mountains, and it is pretty large. It's definitely very large.
At least so far, and it's the biggest map in the game. I mean, if there's anything additional in the last, because I'm on chapter 9, 6 chapters of the game, I'll lose my mind. How do you have this much content in chapter 11, and it's like another open world, open area map?
I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously, I don't want to spoil, but I feel like the next section after that, it shouldn't be as huge. But like, I mean, who knows? The way that they'd end up
definitely only ramped up, because Junon is bigger than Grasslands, and obviously before Grasslands, it's all prequel crap. It's all prelude, whatever you want to call it. The stuff. Prologue. God, that took me forever to get there.
Actually, let me back up a little bit, because last time I don't think we really discussed Junon. So like the Junon stuff at the top.
There.
Yeah, the Junon stuff, like when you go topside, like you're doing all the marching stuff, which again was an OG. It's just a little different. The way
Dude, I
that
love
the way
how
that
they
that
reward
happens.
you for finding all of your
Yeah,
soldiers or whatever. By the way, it
and they're
made it
marching
so
outside.
easy, so easy. I just lined up all soldiers, and I was able to get a formation in easy mode on all three. And so, like,
Oh,
yeah,
so I actually had it at the highest because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have it the most stars. Give me all the stars. Give me all the stars. I did pretty good. I did pretty good.
if there's an
Um,
option to knock it down to difficulty, I'll do it. I don't care.
See, I in the back of my mind with things like that, I'm like, there might be a trophy attached to this though. So
Yeah.
like maybe I just
So
get the
that's why
trophy
you
now.
you might play the summon materia. You'll be like, I'll just do it on the hardest. Thank you though, game. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yes, yeah. But so for anyone who didn't play the OG, we mentioned Yuffie, I think last time. So, but Yuffie was like an optional character, and you found her out in the world map. You'd fight her. You'd have to answer like the dialogue in a certain way, and then you would recruit her. So in this, in Rebirth, Jeff, it's actually quite different because obviously she's going to be part of the game. She's not optional.
You have
So
no choice.
the way that they introduced her is actually really awesome. I freaking loved it because
Me too.
that girl Priscilla that comes running screaming like help,
Yeah.
that girl, she's the one that you do CPR to in OG7.
Oh, okay.
So they do that twist there where Yuffie is like on the boat and it's like, oh shit, this giant fish thing is coming at me.
Wow.
So like that whole moment is all mixed in a different, it's like all remixed in a different way to introduce Yuffie
Should have
into
called it
this
remix.
game.
Should have called it remix.
Yeah, remix.
Remix.
Imagine on the case like a bunch of R's.
Yeah.
So I just
with the air horn. It'll say air horn.
But I don't know. I freaking love that, dude, because this game is doing all of the things that Remake did, but sprinkling in all these little like a little bit of a twist on what was an OG, or just adding something that is new but still feels natural and it fits well. Like, because that's what Remake did. It still felt like what OG was, just stretched out.
They like still have a reason to visit the same exact places that the original game did. It's not like the story diverted so hard, took a hard left, and now everything makes no sense and it's all new. Like, they still have a reason. There's enough of a twist in the story though to make us go, "Whoa, this is new." But it's not that big of a twist, you know. Like, it's not like taking characters away from beloved maps and missions and stuff like that. Yeah, that's super good. Lord, what a trick to pull. Because we're not sitting here going, well, if fate did this and no longer applies, then I should be in a different country or whatever. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
What
so there is in the Junon area, there is something there in OG that in this one is not exactly the same, and I have a feeling that maybe in the third game, because of like a certain transportation mode that you'll have.
Is it something that they say? There's a line of dialogue where they talk about it when you get to Junon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be in a side quest though, so you have to like find it. I think to that dialogue.
Well, yeah, because so in OG, it was just there. It was just part of the mainland, and you would go in there. The whole thing was an optional thing, but like at the end of it, there was a payoff of getting a certain summon materia.
Oh, nice.
So I think because in this one they do the summon materia differently, they kind of
in a super rewarding way. By the way, I'm feeling like I'm earning these things, and like they're respecting me now. You know, like it's kind of a weird. It's kind of a weird thing that they.
It's cool lore too in the world, because you go and you find those caves and you're kind of getting a little bit of background with it.
Right. Yeah. And
like
you can choose for obviously the easiest fight by the time you get all of the lore markers or whatever on the map. I can knock it down to 1 star and beat them easily. Not easily. I was sweating pretty hard with
more easily.
Yeah. Leviathan. No, was it Leviathan or Titan?
Titan.
One of them I was sweating really hard. Leviathan, I think I handed it its ass to. Like, I was like, get out of here. Get that weak crap out of here. Oh, water. I'm so scared. Like, come on.
Well, so there was Titan first. It was Titan Phoenix.
Phoenix was oh man, because Phoenix has a a move that hits everybody, regardless of if you play them on an easy fight or not. And it's like an unavoidable limit break, basically. And you're like, what? Oh no, there's another phase to this fight. And it took off so much health even on easy. But I still I didn't heal, and I just focused on attacking because I was so close to the end. Yeah, the Phoenix was challenging.
Okay.
Because it had that phase, that rebirth phase, I guess. Well, like the name of the game, dude. Anyway.
That's called a reference, brother. That's called a reference.
That's called a layered reference, dude.
Oh, the reference.
Yeah, I'm loving it so far, and I like that we're talking kind of specific about region stuff and not so much like, well, this just happened, so and so died or whatever. Like
right. Well, because we definitely don't want to get into that. But I mean, again, the Yuffie thing, there was just something really smart about that I super enjoyed, because it took what happened in OG and like twisted it in a way.
Well, and since you're past that, you would have gotten this might have been in Coral, the different method of transportation or traversal. As Yuffie, at a certain point, you get a grappling hook, which is also in the trailers, and that's like Uncharted levels of fun for me.
That's fun.
Because it is just hitting a button at a certain right time or right angle. So there's a simple version, like it's a simplified version of platforming, but I still get dopamine hit from it. I love it.
And like having just replayed Remake and then the Yuffie DLC, it's really comfortable, like going right into Yuffie's playstyle, which I'm kind of like almost liking the most, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Dude, Yuffie is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because she's like long range and close range. She throws her thing and then does like magic, and then you can press
that
triangle
magic gets them to stagger faster for me in easy difficulty.
Yeah,
like
if you switch the elements of whatever, if they have an elemental weakness, you can switch her ninjutsu to like ice or fire or wind or whatever.
Oh yeah. I didn't notice that. Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
is that in the folio though? You have to
ice,
unlock that ability, or
no? It's just there.
Oh,
it's just what she does. So if you pull up the abilities, you'll see ninjutsu, and you can switch between the elements. So something's weak against ice.
Is like you can switch. Isn't there like an indicator that's like you can switch? I didn't know what it meant though. Okay.
Go down to where it says ninjutsu. I think the first one is fire, and you'll see an arrow that says that's showing you that you can go right. So you can switch.
I'm dumb over here and ignoring the indicators completely. I'm like, gotta make my move fast and.
Yeah. If you just go down to that, so if something's weak against wind, switch it to wind, and then she's going to be doing wind magic when you throw her weapon, and she's doing her magic thing from far away,
That's awesome.
and then launch towards them. So, yeah.
And then you unlock that bit in the folio about it doesn't cost that much MP if you do, this upgrade or whatever to do wind attacks or to do whatever. That makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first I was like, why would it matter for Barrett to do wind attacks or whatever? Or
Yeah, I like that too. I like the kind of like free little magic thing that they throw in the folios that everybody can have. So like if something's weak against whatever, then they all just have it. So
it makes sense to equip it as one of their materia, if you want to. Yeah, that's really cool. Man, this does make me tinker a lot. This game, like I'm definitely in there crafting.
So much tinkering.
Yeah, switching materia, going. Who do I want to do prayer all the time? Like.
Yeah.
Who do I want to do this? Making sure to have the right materia equipped for when I switch party members. That's the frustrating part, honestly. I wish it was just like copy this materia structure to the other person, but I can't do that. Like I just don't. My brain won't let me do that. I don't know.
My brain just like fixates on like Aerith is like the white mage. That's just what my brain goes to. Like I think of them as classes, in my head. So I mean, I'll give somebody else like some cure, but because I don't want just her to be healing. Because like if I have a party, like I said, my favorite group of 3 is Cloud, Tifa, and Red 13. So it's like, well, none of those are.
You love the melee stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah,
because those guys are definitely close quarters and. Really gratifying to just demolish people with. There's another person that gets into your party.
Yep.
After Yuffie.
Yep.
Who is delightful to play as, and I did not expect that. Like I knew the character was going to be in the game because I read it's in the description of the game of like, and new party members, blah blah blah. But I did not expect it to be fun. I was like, there's no way that's going to play fun. But the triangle attack is so gratifying. Like it takes off way more damage than I thought it would, just for a simple
in the
attack.
trailer, Jeff. I was like, that character looks amazing, and much like Yuffie in the OG Final Fantasy, I gave no shits about that character. Absolutely,
it's silly.
None,
it is silly on the surface for sure. Like, what?
Yes.
Okay.
But in this game, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
He's got great
and
attacks.
some of the synergy
and the dice
attacks
mechanic in his attacks is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just kind of a spoiler on who it is, but I feel like anybody who knows the game would expect.
Yeah, if you know the game, you know who we're talking about, but otherwise you'll see, and it's absurd. So
yeah, and even after that, I feel like there's another character that I read is supposed to become part of your party, but that must be so much later in the by the time the third act rolls around. That
so in this game, I mean, they've shown the image where it's like it shows all of the characters, and it's the full party. Like we're technically getting the full party in this game.
Oh, so this game ends with the full party, and then 3 you have all of them.
Yeah, because they're just not going to be playable. The last 2 are just not going to be playable, unfortunately. But they'll be in the party, I guess. So I think it's going to be like Red 13 in remake, essentially.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what it'll be. So, but then we'll have the whole crew by the end of this game, which is fun.
Definitely. Yeah.
To see how
these characters are so cool. Like I just don't even like they're silly. Yes, obviously to describe some of their characteristics, some physical characteristics, but like as soon as you do an attack as them, you're like, oh, this is badass. Like something about that part of your brain that knows it's silly just shuts off. Like, and
because it's so really they're all different. They're all so different.
So different. Oh man.
Yeah.
Like Tifa's like just basic attack level. Like I just love Tifa's uppercut. The new character I got, his little triangle attack. I don't know what it's called, but it's like he kind of dives down on them. Overcharge is amazing on Barrett. Like if anything, I play the combat more as Barrett because I love shooting. The shooting feels genuinely good in this game, which does not make sense. This is supposed to be melee focused, select your ability type of game. Like I just don't. The shooting feels really fun, especially going max fury and just unloading the whole clip like you could do in remake. So fun, man.
I like doing the bonus rounds. I don't know if you unlock that fully bonus one because I think that adds to stagger, and then doing max fury. So it's like doing like extra stagger on the max fury.
Yeah, they gave me a new gun, and first off, it had one less materia slot, so I said no, I don't want it. But then the perks were like something about you become basically the tank for the party. You take on their HP hits. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking my health down for my freaking noobs.
Barrett's beefy though.
I know he is, but like I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And so I prefer that perk of the extra rounds. It's just so gratifying.
Just remember to keep in mind, though, that you do want to switch weapons to learn the ability, and then you can just switch back to your favorite weapon, though, or at least the weapon that has the most slots. Yeah,
that's
because you want to unlock
the ability. I tend to max out those weapons so often for the characters like Barrett, Tifa, and there's really only one character I don't play as much, and it's Aerith because I'm just not adept at magic. I'm just not.
Well, so I was kind of doing the same too. I think once you start unlocking, so there's this one ability that she gets. So she does a lot of like wards and like these like force field things or like protection things. There's this one that pops up as a circle on the ground, and then when she's doing her basic attack, it actually forms these little things up and like above her, and it starts firing off like these beams. That's her regular attacks now become like these laser beams that does like extra damage. So when she's in the circle, she's doing like extra damage with the beams, which then you can just switch to another character and she's just doing that and it's doing extra damage. So I think once you start unlocking a few extra things with her, it gets better.
The only way to get there too is to use them more sometimes. So like,
well, right, yeah,
that's the catch. Exactly. It's like I know you don't really fully enjoy playing as this person as much as the others, but you kind of have to if you want the badass stuff.
Just to do it quick, I just switch to the like I'll just switch to if it's an ability where I'm like this ability's not that fun but whatever, I'll just switch to that character, get their ATB, the first ATB filled in like real quick, just do the ability and immediately switch back to like Cloud or whatever so I can keep doing my thing. But at least that way you're learning the ability quickly.
That's smart.
And gaining that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because some of those abilities, I'm like, oh, but I want that level 2. Oh, like,
yeah,
but I don't want to use a weapon or whatever it is. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. This game makes you think in all those areas.
Yeah,
even though it's like really, I love good narrative stuff. Obviously, like I've said earlier, I'm a slut. I mean, a Chad, whatever I said earlier.
Listen, I'm a cuck. I'm a story cuck. I don't even care.
I'm a story cuck.
I'm a story cuck. I don't even care.
Like that's what I'm there for. But then all this other stuff makes me think about it. Like when I'm not playing it, like right now, like like I'm like, wow, they really went detailed on this in a way that. I mean, 16 wasn't this way. It was more like kind of, it was DMC basically. It was more like DMC.
Yeah,
it was their combat director, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But this one's just definitely making me think more and making me feel like I'm playing a more dense RPG. And just the amount of content feels overwhelming just because of how big the areas are compared to 16.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're definitely wider for sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely more going on and they're wider.
Right.
But the combat is like, to me, that like this action RPG, like what they did in Remake and then brought here is like the perfect blend. Because it's like you're doing all the stuff in an action-y way, but then
you're
like,
changing your parties, which everybody was like,
yeah.
Come on, give me that, man. I missed that in 16. It was like, hold on, that's not this game. Hold on, we're gonna give you that. Just wait.
You're gonna get that over here. It's okay.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. Everyone stop crying. But like I love that. Yeah, you hit X and then it slows down time and you can kind of think and strategize like an RPG.
That's
like
when it becomes turn-based. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
In your ATV. So, and they even have mini games that are like appease RTS players like way more too, like the turn-based, I guess. So it's like Fort Condor, for example, which is like ATV oriented, obviously, but like I beat that whole side quest story in the map. Wasn't really much of a story. It was kind of silly. It was a silly story.
So that's what I was saying though last time, Jeff. I was like, I can't wait for whichever one of you gets to that. Because to me, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because visually, what's happening there, like in my head, like what they did there visually would be like taking OG Final Fantasy VII and giving it the Super Mario RPG treatment.
Oh yeah.
Like the nice simple remake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of.
It did look like that. That art style looked like
N64.
Well, not N64.
It
looked like that kind of graphical jump from PS2 to N64 is what I'm trying to say. Like the parallel, what the parallel would have been.
Yeah,
N64 to like PS3, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know what the hell I'm getting lost.
It was just really cool.
But it did, yeah.
It was just really, really cool. It
was really impressive, and it was like a silly goose time. Unless you're like struggling with the game, which I totally understand. But like I just understood the timing and how it wanted me to dispatch things in a certain order. How to watch the board a little better for like what enemies are coming towards me and adapting in the moment. Deployed healers early and got my heroes out as soon as I could. Like I just that's it. That's the key number one really is try to get your heroes out as soon as you can, unless they're just bombarding you with vanguards, and then put some enforcers out. Which you'll need to put them out anyway if you want to use Barrett. But like that was my kind of fast paced thinking. Like Queen's Blood, even the variation on it that made it a little easier, but still not really for me. I could never wrap my head around. I just can't.
There's a lot going on there, dude.
Yeah, there really is. Like the pawn stuff and the point counting and by the way, when this card is next to this card, it upgrades that card, and you have to keep track of so much additional stuff.
That's the stuff that reminds me of Triple Triad from Final Fantasy VIII, because like it starts off super simple, like I said before, where it's just like, well, my number's higher than your number, so I flip your card. But as the game progresses, they add more rules. So like, this card next to this card adds together or something, and then does this. I feel
like Queen's Blood started out the gate with that, with all those additional rules. Like even with the basic hand, I still had some that were giving me combos, and then like I couldn't wrap my head around the pawn stuff. I just couldn't figure it out. Like, how does this game want me to put cards down? I didn't get it. And I still kind of don't. It feels somewhat arbitrary sometimes, where I'm like, what do you mean I can't play there? Of course I can play there. I have a pawn there. Let me play there.
Yeah, you just gotta look at the little symbol on the cards. It's about having like a well-balanced deck of like how you want to how you want to attack the board.
During the story part, there is a story part where you play Queen's Blood Standard on a cruise ship, and which
is new, by the way, Jeff. That's not how you traveled. That's not how you traveled originally in that moment.
Okay. What just happened? Skype crapped out.
Tim, why'd you do that? Tim, you left us. What happened?
It's like my camera did it too. Did it do it on your side?
It went dark for me. I went dark. Okay.
Because my camera even flashed, but I wonder if that's because Skype timed out and it needed to reconnect to my camera. That's interesting.
I don't know.
It says it's still recording, so we're good.
I'm gonna blame Dad.
We're going.
Blame Dad.
We're going to keep going. Anyway, I love. OG, if you can't tell, I love the game. If I talk about it this in depth and deep down, where it's like you're talking about like intricacies of mechanics and stuff.
There's a lot going on.
That's how much it's true, but that's how much I love it. Like if I just say I love it and it's like really like an 8 out of 10, but I still love it, I just go, yeah, it's good, and I love it. And what this other guy said is true. Like I agree with this guy.
Yep. Just write whatever he wrote down. Whatever he wrote down, just write down for me.
Yeah. I would take it slow with this game if it were a person. Like this runs deep.
Yeah. Take it out on a nice date. You know?
Ask if I can hold her hand.
Yep.
Hold the door open every now and then.
Yep. The singular rose. The singular rose. Yeah.
Play guitar at them.
Yes. Yeah. Make direct eye contact. As you're doing that.
What did they do in Barbie? They played Push, I think, the Matchbox 20 song.
Oh my god, yeah. That's so dumb. That
now
whole thing
we'll
is so
push you around. So good. Why that song? Oh my god.
I don't know. It's just nonsense. Just nonsense.
Speaking of unrelated, but the Oscars are this weekend at the time of this recording. They are like tomorrow or whatever time it is. And Current Cinema has a predictions episode, and I'm going to follow up on those. I'm going to shoot an episode of Current Cinema where I follow up predictions, see how I did, and see what I feel about the ceremony. Usually I don't care about speeches. I'm just there to talk about winners.
Sure.
And that's it.
Nice
but
plug.
Yeah, I had to plug Current Cinema somehow because I do such a bad job at it on this show already. So if you're into movies, please check that nerdy, other nerdy crap out on our channel.
That other current thing that we're doing.
Yeah, currently doing.
Yeah, the thing we're currently doing.
Anyway, Rebirth is fantastic. It's definitely, head and shoulders above the rest that I played this year so far.
Jeff, we didn't even actually mention the most important thing in this entire span of progress we made in the game.
Is there a thing?
Bikinis.
Oh, with that type of music playing over them, with the camera panning and doing like flash edits, like a Michael Bay movie. Oh my god.
Bikinis, Jeff.
My eyes are up here. Oh my god. They don't literally say that, but they say something cute like that, where they're like,
"Sure,
did I cat get your tongue or whatever?" And you're like, "Oh god." So cheesy. I love it.
I was playing that moment though, and my wife literally was like, "But seriously though, like those things are huge." And I was like, "Yeah, no, they are." Like you don't actually really notice because she has like the white shirt with like clearly
you can choose
a sports
which
bra.
one she wears though, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
one covers more than the other, and I chose the classier option because if you matched, then all three of you matched, your relationship got better.
I see. Well, I went not classy. I definitely went not classy. Absolutely.
I see.
Not classy.
Oh, you wear a scarf. That's nice. I did not do that.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
But,
bikinis.
But yeah, bikinis. So that was cool.
That was fun. Yeah.
Don't
get me wrong. There's a lot of dudes being big meaty men in this. Barrett especially.
Dude, him loving the sailor outfit. Like,
oh my god,
is fantastic. I love that.
I love that Barrett has one dork moment like almost every chapter. Like it's like his one thing that you're like, oh, that's what makes you my friend. Like that's what makes you.
Yeah. Like you're just a doofus.
Yeah.
And
we mentioned Yuffie, but I meant to say Cloud's whole personality around her is hilarious.
Yeah. Like, which I called.
She's like, I'm gonna
be so annoyed,
and he just goes, "Cool."
Cool.
He literally says, "Cool."
Like just
I'm gonna go over here. Yeah.
He's like
His
Derek
tone.
if like a kid was talking to him. Like basically, like it's just
Oh
it's like,
man.
why is this kid talking to me? Shut the fuck up. Yeah. STFU. That's basically Cloud. So but yeah, no, that's
Our way of
actually
saying we miss
I
Derek.
love Yuffie being like really protective of Barrett. I
Yeah.
love that energy.
Yeah.
That was actually really, I liked that. That was
Yeah, me
cool.
too. She's got the whole. I mean, we know that she's super young because people call her that.
Yeah, she's like 15 or
Yeah.
16. So
Oh wow, I didn't know she was that young. Okay, good
yeah,
lord.
yeah,
She's like
she's
a freaking ninja. What the hell?
yeah. She's pretty
Crazy.
badass for a 15,
She
16-year-old
is,
ninja.
Good at magic. I don't know what they're feeding them over there. Those Wheaties.
Those cacao beans. That's what they're feeding him.
But it's her like naivete. Like she doesn't understand gray areas. She doesn't really have a grasp on living in the gray yet.
Yeah.
She's pure.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I understood where she came from because she was like, well, I know Barrett. I don't know these people. I know Barrett.
Right.
So
yeah. She's like, why aren't you kicking their ass? Like, why are you letting them walk all over? And he's like, I can take it. I can take it. She's like, no, seriously, kick their ass. Like,
he gets very Vin Diesel. He's kind of like if Vin Diesel were like tolerable in the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, he's about family. It's about family.
Yeah, but like Marlene, like it's Marlene is his family, basically, literally, but like in some ways, like he's basically like it's just the way he says Marlene. It makes me think of Vin Diesel going family, like.
But it actually sounds sincere cadence. Coming from Barrett.
Yeah, it does, yeah. They cast really great people, especially the new character that I got in my party. I'm like, they cast a Scottish person? This is cool. Did they have voice acting in the original game? I always forget.
No,
I didn't think so. Acting. I thought it was reading. Yeah.
Although now there's like mods you can get out there, which is really cool. So you can play the Steam version and download mods. There's a whole group of people that did like VO and they're doing it for other
that's
RPGs
amazing.
Too. Yeah, wow. So you can play the
there's
PC
a lot of
version
voice
of 7.
Talent out there that just freelance like that, and they're they get a lot of work in the video game industry, obviously. Like or they just love games. They just happen to love games. Yeah, that's really cool, man. That they came together like that.
That's actually what I'm gonna next time I get to 7 on
it,
stream. I'm gonna play that version because I'm
interested.
As much as like
I would set an alert for that. I would watch that. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, much easier to not have to read myself.
Yeah,
much easier.
That's the thing I worry about with if I ever were to work up the nerve to stream. Worried about playing like a narrative game that's all reading. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to talk through this whole thing and hear my own voice. Yeah. Oh no. Yep. It's already bad enough when I podcast and I have to hear it.
Sure. I feel that. I feel it. I feel it. I'm like, I can't do voices. I do my best.
Oh
no.
Yeah. Anyway, I love Rebirth.
Yeah, I love Rebirth. This game's pretty alright. This game's it's okay.
And
it's all right.
We did grab a quote from Kyle. He could not make the program today, and he says, quote, the game's okay or whatever.
Yeah.
End quote.
Yeah, it's it's 7 something bikinis.
I think he's the furthest ahead of all of us, and he's still just absolutely loving it, of course. Here we go, another Game of the Year fight involving Final Fantasy.
You goddamn right.
Yeah.
And I'm not budging. I'm like, no, I don't care about your DLC.
But Wolverine came out surprisingly. No, it didn't. But you know what I'm saying.
You're gonna have Tim over there with his Elden Ring DLC. I mean, guys, Elden Ring.
It's big enough though. No,
it's big enough.
No, The Witcher didn't qualify with Blood and Wine, so I don't think.
Sure.
And that one was super long, obviously. So I don't think. I don't know that the Elden Ring content's gonna end up qualifying in our discussions. In other people like publications proper like IGN, sure.
Do whatever
Make
you
your
want.
own rules. But we got this is a respected podcast. We got rules here.
That's right. We don't fudge around.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah, we certainly don't cuss. I would never say shit.
None of that
or whatever.
tomfoolery.
Like, I would never say damn or piss or poo poo or fart.
Yep. None of those words.
I get like way less worse.
Yeah, doo-doo, darn,
doo-doo,
gosh, damn it.
Shucksy doodle. My grandma would whip me when I would say shucksy doodle. Okay, well, I'm going on too long.
It's off the rails.
It's off the rails.
Tim,
It's
you could just cut like all of this out. You could just
could have ended it a while ago, actually. Or you can cut it to here and just be like, okay, and 3, 2, 1. So that about wraps it up for me. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Tim?
No. Well,
Dan?
Tim, what you
Tim's
need
not
to do
here.
is just have yourself saying, so this ended now here. Just cut us out and put himself saying he's ending the show.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let me do it again. Well, that's Rebirth. That's all my thoughts on it. So, Dan, what do you got?
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Okay, that's it. That's all we got this week.
There you go.
And that's Current Gen, episode Epi 210. That's what it says at the top.
EpiPen
do Tim
210.
proud.
EpiPen 210.
So thanks for watching and